Shawwal have been sighted in those areas. Consequently, it is hereby declared that the Friday, the 21st day of April 2023, will be the first day of Shawwal, the year 1444 Al-Hijri, and consequently, the same day will be the Idd-ul-Fitr.
Eid Mubarak to all my Muslim brothers and sisters across the country and the world now. Detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have discovered 12 more graves during the operation to rescue Good News International Church Pastor Paul Mackenzie's followers in Shakahola Forest, Malindi. The new graves raised the number of graves discovered to 27, as the sleuths also rescued 3 more people, among them a minor. According to children's rights officers, a majority of the graves are believed to contain bodies of children, some who were required to be the first to fast as per the requirements of the church.
Tuliweza kuokoa watu wasima kama 12, lakini hatukupata watoto hata mmoja. Na kulingana na pale wale watoto tumerescue mara ya kwanza, wametuambia watoto wengi ni kama wameaga. Hizi kaburi nyingi tunaonyeshwa hapa saa hizi zimefika 18, na zingine tunaendelea kuonyeshwa iende sikakue nyingi ni za watoto wadogo.
The total number of those who died due to the prolonged fast is yet to be established, as it is suspected that each of the graves may contain more than one body. Children rights officers decried what they term as failure by the government to act swiftly to stop the activities of the religious group.
Naona kama yani government bado imelegea kimpango, sababu hii kesi ya Mackenzie nimekuwa nao tangu 2017. Nilikuwa na watoto 43 katika children's home na 30 katika rescue center. Katika watoto wote 73, baadhi yao watoto ni kama half of them wamefariki, nikiuliza wale wenzao wenye walikuwa huku.
Huyu mtu aliwaambia wafuasi wake waweze watoto waanze kufunga mpaka wave, alafu wakina mama wafuate, alafu wase. Kwa hiyo ni kama hiyo ni usuni sana kwangu.
Rights activists are calling on Kenyans to disassociate themselves with such kind of beliefs they say commit crimes against humanity.
We confirm kiukweli ya kwamba sehemu hii ya Shakahola kuna watu wengi tumepata walikuwa wanafunga. Leo tumepata kama watu 4 ambao wamerejeshwa Malindi Hospital ili kuweza kupata matibabu ya haraka. Lakini hali hii ni hali mbaya. This is a crime against humanity, na tunaona dini kama hii potovu inazidi kuangamiza Wakenya.
And Super North Member of Parliament Millie Odhiambo wants persons who leak nude content of their partners on the internet jailed for life. The MP, who was speaking during a parliamentary debate on sexual harassment, said she is offended about the ongoing harassment and especially of women, and is therefore calling for the harshest punishment on the culprits.
You are not going to harass women. I don't care whether you are in UDA. I don't care whether you are in ODM. When it is an issue of women, my party becomes a woman. Because what is done to another woman will be done to me. The issue of morality is a very personal issue. Whether somebody decides they want to get out of their marriage, we are all answerable to God. So let us not bring issues of somebody to ourselves. Let that be our own issue. But what somebody has done in her privacy, why are you bringing for us here in public? What nonsense is this? We are going to amend our laws and make stricter penalties. I would have actually supported the death penalty on people like that. But because I don't support the death penalty, Madam Speaker, I think we need to enhance the sentences to life for people like that.
She cautioned that those who do this with the intent of shaming people on social media consider the collateral damage of their actions.
You want to stand here and give us your moral high ground. We all don't know what you do in your private lives. It's only God who knows what you do. Behind that person you are harassing, there is a human being. You do not understand what that person is going through. I happen to know some of those people at a very close level, and their lives and their children's lives have been destroyed. At least if you are not bothered about that person, have mercy on their children. We are so morally bereft. You think you are better than the person that you are sharing. The fact that you can share that before people, even if I take the photo and it is mine, there is nothing wrong. There is no law against it.
This is News. I'm Dennis Anseda. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City. Do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
I mean, I don't understand. How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What do they say?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the Situation Room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Ndu, nice meeting you. Yes. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment. The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
I don't think we're going to have a problem with that today. There won't be too much traffic on these Nairobi streets. After all, we're celebrating 30 days after the fast. Okay, so the Thika Soup Highway looks good. You'll be into the city without any issue. And then coming off Mombasa Road as well, you'll be fine. Westlands is looking good. Into the CBD. On Jogo Road, there's no traffic this morning. First time in a long time. And our folks are taking it easy today. We'll probably not see too much in terms of movement. We're going to ask you to be careful anyway if you're getting into the city because, you know, propensity to go faster when there are no cars on the road and such things. Let's talk through the morning on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
Karibu kwenye mpango wa leo. How you doing, everybody? It's Friday. Eid Mubarak, Kelamoto City. Eid Mubarak.
And Eid greetings to you as well, and a very pleasant, happy, and prosperous Eid.
You wanted to say New Year, didn't you?
That's where my mind was going.
That's Naomba Nation.
Eid yenye baraka nyingi. Yes.
Ujambo lakini wewe Ndu.
Mashallah.
Kabisa. Safi sana. Hello everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Yeah, people are awake. I mean, it's holiday for who?
Holidays are for weak people.
Holidays are for losers.
Yeah.
We are here. And we are here, Mama.
They're here.
We're here. Kila mtu. Tunauliza unaongeleshwa in a loving tone ama unakeleleshwa?
Wow. Sisi. Unakeleleshwa.
Unaongeleshwa in a loving tone ama unakeleleshwa?
Good grief.
Well put that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I agree completely.
Sindio? Kabisa. Tunasema sisi bado tunashauriana moyo.
Today you're on a roll.
Ama hapo ni utajua you're the wrong guy.
Bado umeshikana.
Kabisa.
Bado uko makongeni.
Bado uko makongeni. Ama unaongeleshwa kwa maringo.
Yes. Wajua mimi mahali nimefika. Basi nitaona tu wafafa.
Nitaona tu wafafa.
Yes.
Ama ufike kileleni.
Yes.
Basi tuishi kwa umoja.
Wow.
Wajua usipofanya hivyo utajikuta uko buruburu.
Utajipata buruburu. Ama wataka kwenda Jerusalem kama wewe.
Bwana, ama ukipotea njia waweza fika Jericho, sio?
Kama Jericho pia. Bwana. Hiya, everybody, welcome. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. We'll be having several conversations as usual. At 7 a.m., we want to talk about the burden of drugs and alcohol abuse in the country. It's big. There's actually even a story today in the papers. And we have an authority called NACADA, the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse.
Yes, abuse. It's alcohol and drug abuse.
Alcohol and drug abuse. Yeah. Sour.
You know, it's interesting. Alcohol is a drug, though.
It is.
Isn't it just?
Unfortunately, not seen as that, but yeah.
Alcohol is a drug.
It is.
Yes.
Of choice. For some people.
Yeah. So we will be joined by Professor Yossi Harel Fish. Professor Yossi is an Israeli. He's a chief scientist in the Israel Anti-Drugs Authority. He's visiting the country. He'll come and tell us what lessons they've learned in Israel and how they can be applied in Kenya in terms of addressing the challenges of substance abuse in the country. And that's at 7 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, let's talk about education for a bit, okay? Libraries in schools. There's an organization called the Knowledge Empowering Youth, KEY, that has been working in the country, just going and building libraries for schools and then working with well-wishers to donate books and taking those books to school. Of course, now there's a question of, all right, so you have a library. That library, what is it? Is it a classroom that you have set a corner that you have some books and you call that a library? Is it a proper library? Okay, once you have a library, who is manning the library? Is it the English teacher who is manning the library? Or is it a proper librarian who's been trained in library services? What do they do? We'll be joined by the person who works as the chief librarian for that, head librarian for that organization, the Knowledge Empowering Youth, to talk about librarians in the country and why well-equipped libraries are important for learners. 8 a.m. At 9 o'clock, we have new leadership at the SONU, and he will be here. One of them is going to be joining us. He's the chairman of the UON Students with Disability Association and also the acting chair of the Kenya Students with Disability Association. His name is Haya Dennis. He'll be joining us to talk about the welfare of students in disability, especially at higher learning institutions. So, siku imejaa namna hiyo. Okay? All those are the conversations that we'll be having. Now, people are already up, senior.
Yeah.
They're awake.
Many of them.
And they're commenting.
In fact.
Both on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube.
Both of the three.
Yeah. Hi. Tell us where you're locked in from, and we'll be doing like that shortly. Say Eid Mubarak to all of us, including Dennis Aseto, who is celebrating the end of fasting. He's been coming here every day. And
been doing the business.
He's been doing the business, and today he's still here, but he'll be heading for prayers afterwards. It's 6:15. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Are you looking for your dream home or the perfect plot of land to build on? Look no further than Digger Real Estate, the e-commerce site for all your real estate needs. From cozy apartments to sprawling estates, we have a wide selection of houses for rent and for sale. And if you're looking to build from scratch, we have prime plots of land available for purchase. Don't settle for anything less than your ideal home. Head to realestate.digger.co.ke today to start your search. Digger Real Estate, where your dream home becomes a reality.
Can you dig it?
Oh my God, look at the curtains. Oh, and the shoes. Wow, my dream fridge. Oh.
What is it? My friend, you don't have money. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes. I know what to do. The interest on my fixed deposit has matured to Songe Mbele na Kingdom Bank.
What is it about Kingdom Bank? Everyone is surprising me about this Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank move.
Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank. Kingdom Bank is now offering mid to long-term fixed saving with higher interest rates. Earn up to 10% interest from as little as 50,000 Kenya shillings on our fixed and call deposits. Enjoy a variety of our great services including savings and junior savings accounts for your kids. Get return on your fixed investments today at Kingdom Bank. Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank. Shop now for all you want. Talk to us on 0709 881300 for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. I'm sure you're wondering how you can spend less and get more as we approach the Easter period. Well, the Standard Digital e-paper has a solution for you, and it's the half-price Easter special. For all news and entertainment buffs who look for a credible source of information and content they love, well, this one's for you. We're offering you a chance to pay half for the full story and all the extras. Instead of 6,199 Kenya shillings, pay 3,099 Kenya shillings and stay on top of what is happening across the globe. At your own convenience, for less. This incredible offer is valid till 30th April 2023. Subscribe now. Visit epaper.standardmedia.co.ke and enjoy the half-price Easter special. Get the full story all year long. Only with Standard Digital e-paper. Standard Digital
17
e-paper.
degrees in Nairobi this morning, highs of 25 and partly cloudy conditions through Friday. It's 16 and mostly clear in Nakuru, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 27 and clear in Nyeri at 17. It's 15 and partly cloudy in Eldoret, highs of 26 and lows of 14, and it's partly cloudy at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 32. We'll see highs of 32 as well in Malindi, where it's clear at 26. At 20, it's cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 29, and Kakamega will see highs of 28 today, where it's mostly cloudy at 18. Rain showers in Kampala at 20, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 30 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 24. At 11 degrees, Johannesburg is clear, highs of 23 and lows of 11, and mostly clear in Lagos at 28. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 27. It's cloudy at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 30 and lows of 23. Let's look out into Beijing. Friday is cloudy going towards afternoon, highs of 15 and lows of 7. 3 degrees and mostly cloudy conditions in Paris, highs of 15, and we'll see highs of 11 in London, where it's cloudy at 7. Let's round things off in New York, where Thursday night is clear at 11. Coming into Friday, highs of 17 and lows of 10.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
6.
Vesh Musanga is on YouTube this morning and says, good morning, tuned in from Nairobi. Happy Id team, hooked in from Baltimore. That's what Gerald Oliech is this morning. Mark Mwangi says there is a conversation that needs to happen. Sudan is our next Wuhan.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot that's, tumbling out of control very rapidly.
Yes.
Indeed. Okay. Other people are tuning in this morning. Edwin Washira says, good morning. Good morning. Happy Eid. Good to hear you on air. Mimi niko job kama nyinyi. Well, there you go. Join the fray. When we tell Kenyans we should reduce this burden called waheshimiwa, they develop sentimental sympathy. Hey, wait, is there such a thing? Sentimental sympathy. Erickson Odhiambo. You have things this morning, and there you are. Happy Friday of the week, Collins. Eid Mubarak. Abdallah Chacha Kuloba. Also, Eid Mubarak to you. Robert Mbogo is tuning this morning from Mombasa. Good morning, tuning from Kendu Bay. Abdul Malik Abdul Aziz. Timothy Ngaira says, good morning. I'm following the show from Kitale. Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brethren. Ijma Karim, and that's Atieno saying good morning to everybody today. Quite a number of folks online. Those who are waking up small. We see you guys.
Yeah.
Karibuni sana.
Uncle Michael says, Eid Mubarak. Salimia watu hapo, especially watu ya Manchester United. Hamjambo.
Europa League.
Mmesalimiwa na Harry Maguire. Yeah. City, do like that.
Final proverb from the country of Burkina Faso.
Upright man.
Upright man.
Honest man.
Honest man.
Hardworking man.
Hardworking man. Right. Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor. Okay.
I was told this story by my grandmother.
By an ancestor?
Yes, she's an ancestor. My grandmother. She definitely is an ancestor.
Yes.
I remember asking the question how it is that, this issue of paternity, as to whether how they determined paternity in their days if there was an issue. They said that was never a problem. The older people were called in because they are the ones who had the catalogue and the memory of the relatives who had gone. Said, really? Said, yeah. Said, so most people look at their face and they say, this face doesn't look like anybody's.
Like ours.
Doesn't.
This is not our own.
Yes. Then an auntie will come and say, no, but look at the years. The years belong to so-and-so. Now that so-and-so, all the people sitting there had never seen. And they are certainly not going to start disagreeing with this auntie. So the face may not look, but the ears, definitely, they're distinctly. Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's look at the headlines.
Before we do that, a shout out to one Brian Obara, listening every morning. We feel you, man.
Crazy.
He's just around. You know those people those things that just hover somewhere,
like a fly on the wall.
Something like that. Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio.
By the way, there's a friend of mine who made me understand that the versatility of the English language. Again, you ask a question, where is he? That friend of mine, when I asked him, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and he said, let me give you two guesses. Can you guess what his response was?
What did you ask him?
I haven't seen him in a long while, so where has he been?
Around.
Up and about.
You will not get it, but when I tell you, you'll understand. Told me he has been among.
Among what?
What do you mean?
Brian Obara, who among this morning.
Brian is among.
Brian is among.
Yeah.
Fine. In the headlines this morning, bishops no to Raila as he drums up BBI. Alone? There's a painful story here. Shock of 24 graves, a cult having made its way into the minds and hearts of many. And detectives and pathologists discover 24 fresh, unmarked graves at Shakahola in Malindi, believed to be part of the members of a deadly church cult who starved to death to ostensibly meet Jesus. We'll look at the details of that. A student in the dubious Uasin Gishu County airlift loses his life. Mama Ngina takes a shot at leaders. There's a picture of the first lady with meter-long dreadlocks that she helped to cut off of freedom fighter Kirima Muthoni, Field Marshal Muthoni wa Kirima. And she had a few things to say. She said that I now know that the country has seen the people who fought for our independence, because some people pretend to know it all. So, Mama Ngina was saying some things there. On the front page of the Daily Nation, MPs throw the ball back to Ruto and Raila, saying, okay, yeah, we've sat. They started sitting yesterday, They sat and they said, okay, now that we have come, how about you guys? Tell us. What to do.
We are here.
We are here, Mama. So now, they said, now you tell us what you want us to do. So I don't know. Muslims fault Kindiki for calling early Eid. Ifai kwa leo.
Aligazette holiday. Aligazette mapema.
So labda Monday ingine itakuwa
So
Friday.
the moon hasn't been sighted?
Bado.
I saw yesterday there was a Kathy who said they've sighted
The Kadhi said yesterday that they had sighted.
By the way,
but
sorry, go
Kindiki called
ahead.
it before the Kadhi had said.
You do understand whether it is the Sunni or the Shia. There are those who count the days.
Yep.
29 days. Yeah.
That's it. This thing of moon, moon can shine, not shine, it's okay.
But 29
But
days.
they count the days. Yes.
We'll
And
tell you
also,
that's,
remember, the moon doesn't have to be sighted in Kenya.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
Wherever the adherence to the faith and the moon is sighted.
Bas.
That's
Kila
it.
mtu anajua.
Kila mtu anajua.
Tumeiona. On the back page of The Nation, senators reject bid to raise county funds. Ooh. And COG chair, Kirinyaga governor Anne Waiguru, has been faulted for being too soft on KK people.
KK
Being
Kenya
soft.
Kwanza.
Being soft how?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Hiyo ndio headline.
Yeah. Wacha nikwambie what's in the Business Daily. Remember the man called Raphael Tuju?
Yes.
Former Jubilee Party Secretary General.
Yes.
He now faces auction over a botched loan deal with the regional bank after the Court of Appeal dismissed his bid to block enforcement of a judgment by a UK court in 2019. The auction is set to cost Bwana Tuju some properties. At stake is a 20-acre prime property in Karen worth 1.3 billion shillings, a high-end hotel, the Dari restaurant associated with the Tujus. The East African Development Bank, which is partially owned by the Kenyan government, was locked in a 4-year legal battle with the former cabinet secretary over the enforcement of a UK judgment to seize Tuju's property under Dari Limited. Tuju unsuccessfully fought the enforcement of the UK judgment up to the Court of Appeal, arguing that EADB was frustrating efforts to have other lenders, including KCB Group and equity investors, from making the property profitable. Now he lost it at the Court
20 acres in Karen. The land alone, and this thing is only worth 1.2 billion.
Plus the hotel.
It has to be
Very
worth more.
doubtful.
It's
got to be more.
It has
It's
to be
worth
a lot.
over 1.3 billion. You know where the Dari
I know it is.
Yeah.
Imagine
I
all
know
that.
it is.
Lush,
And then you're telling me
beautiful.
it's only worth now.
He's really fought to keep it though.
Yeah, but nah.
Let's see.
Nah. Land alone should be worth around 2 billion. In excess, excess of 2 billion.
The thing is, he borrowed some money. He borrowed $9.3 million in 2015.
Ooh.
That has now since ballooned to $16.5 million, about 2.2 billion shillings.
Yep.
Ouch.
The ouch. Exchange rate, interest.
This is what happened. He requested a loan of 943.9 million shillings. He received a loan of 932 million shillings. The purpose of the loan was to build some 12 luxury homes worth 1.2 billion shillings in Karen. Now, the value of the loan is 2.2 billion shillings.
Did he build the houses?
I think he did. He did build the houses. Yeah. Anyway, so the other headline in the Business Daily: Japan's JICA disagrees with KPA in 59 billion shilling tender fights. Tension is brewing between the Kenya Ports Authority and a Japanese agency over tenders for the construction of a 56 billion shilling special economic zone at the port of Mombasa. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, has for a second time rejected KPA's decision to disqualify one bidder on account of
minor oversights that are not crucial to the tender evaluation stage. Persons familiar with this project are revealing the differences between JICA and KPA have been triggered by the move to exclude a top firm in a bidding for the big money deal, which has attracted powerful forces in government keen on influencing the multi-billion shilling tenders. KPA disqualified the bidder for submitting legal documents based on a wrong interpretation of JICA's procurement policies. The Japanese agency holds that nitpicking on non-essential shortcomings will discourage competition in the bidding process and append its procurement policies that encourage review of multiple bids. JICA's position comes in the wake of claims that bidders and powerful state officials have infiltrated the tendering to try to slant the outcome of this tender. Mambo imechemuka.
Boiling bubble.
Imechemuka. Kapsa? Kapsa. The Star.
Right. Right top corner. In burnt yellow.
You notice on Fridays it's burnt yellow. Yeah.
Okay.
Burnt orange is what you're thinking. But okay. Sorry, please do carry on.
Focus on the burnt.
Got it.
Okay. Senators.
Earth grey.
Earth grey.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. Senators fight for more duties as Upper House celebrates its 10th birthday. Yeah, this is a story in Siasa.
Siasa.
Yes, Siasa. Then if we go lower down, on the right-hand side, Naivasha crash students' bodies taken to Kisumu. This is a story of that horrific crash in Naivasha where 6 students passed away. You know, these things. Robbers steal 1.3 million shillings with remote-controlled gadget. This is something that happened in Nandi. A robbery on Thursday, which a school bus said he lost 1.3 million outside a commercial bank in the town. So...
a remote-controlled gadget is where I'm waiting. A robot came and picked the money from the guy. What is
I would like you to expand.
Somebody was controlling the robot, with the drone, and then they catapulted the robot into the... Wow.
But let's take this break. Tell us about traffic and then city. That story. That one. You nataka kusikia. Ati how much was stolen?
1.3 million.
With a remote-controlled gadget.
You really need to expand your horizon. The remote control budget may have been the Basa himself, but anyway. It doesn't say that here.
27 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
You've had the luxury of living for 50 years and you cannot still explain yourself. Surely. Oh my God. The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping out.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Hakuna traffic bana. I told you. Really, I mean, folks are either indoors waiting for some action to happen later. Most of our roads today looking pretty good. On Thika Superhighway, nothing. Hakuna, onge, done. Let's see.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Your story, Nancy.
You want to hear it?
Yes, please.
I'm very
Robbers steal 1.3 million for Nandi teacher's trip to Mombasa. Police in Nandi Hills are investigating a robbery on Thursday in which a school bursar said he lost 1.3 million shillings outside a commercial bank in town. Nahashon Lagat, the accounts manager at AIC Chebisas Girls High School in Nandi South, had withdrawn the money from a local bank for a teacher's holiday retreat in Mombasa. After collecting the bulk cash, police said he took the money wrapped in a khaki envelope and dropped it in his car before proceeding to a nearby grocery to buy an item. Don't comment, just listen to the story.
Okay.
Don't comment. On his return, Langat is reported to have found the doors of the car wide open and the envelope missing. Nandi East DCIO Rahman Wasilwa said they were investigating the puzzling incident, adding, what's puzzling about this? Adding, it wasn't the first time such an incident was reported in the area. We have several cases that have been reported, including another where suspects were arrested after stealing from a car in Kapsabet. Police are analyzing CCTV footage from the premises around the car to establish the identities of the from the thieves suspects, but I would like to add from the thieving suspects. Okay? The robbers, according to vendors who witnessed them opening the car doors, claimed they were trailing the bursar's vehicle and had parked their vehicle, the white Probox getaway car, behind his. Detectives were following leads from several previous incidents when it alleged that the suspects used a remote Bluetooth gadget to open doors. Bluetooth gadget to open motor vehicles fitted with central locking systems to open the door. That's where the remote comes in.
I was getting quite excited.
They sit in their own car and then tweet.
Yeah.
So they actually don't break into nothing.
They don't.
Nice.
Wow. Did you say that he had an envelope of the 1.3 million in his vehicle?
He threw it in the vehicle, not the boot, the vehicle.
Okay.
And why he didn't go with it to the shop, I don't know.
Well, that happens a lot. You hear
It
someone
happens a lot that you're going to toss 1.3 million.
1.3 million in the back of the seat of your car.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Yes.
You just toss it in there because you're unsuspecting that folks know what it is.
You withdraw.
Exactly.
You haven't been
because you're walking into a supermarket. Now, are you going to be walking with an envelope with wads of cash as you're going to purchase, to buy things? You walk out of the bank, you have this envelope that has the money, you put it somewhere in the car.
No. Eric,
and then you just get out and you get
it. Town?
Yes.
Okay, how big is that town?
It's a small town.
Precisely. You withdraw 1.3 million shillings. You think it will not be known you're withdrawing 1.3 million
You're
shillings?
not the first one who's getting into that bank and walking out.
Okay, let me repeat again. You go into a bank in Kapsabet town and you withdraw 1.3 million shillings.
Yes.
It is
by the time you reach the door, the teller has
this
told
is a school bazaar. This is not his first trip to the bank.
No, it
isn't. It most likely is a trip among very many that he does.
It is true.
And probably he's done this before.
But more importantly, the amount that he's about to withdraw is known. He's not the only one who knows he's withdrawing 1.3 million.
Well, every time a bazaar walks into a bank,
the likelihood of him withdrawing money
it's either he's depositing cash or withdrawing
You
cash.
see, I'm talking about 1.3. It's a lot of money that was intended for a trip. Okay? And for you to withdraw that sort of money, a check has to be signed. Many things have to happen.
Yes.
So you're not the only person who knows that 1.3 million shillings is going to be withdrawn on that particular day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now,
and it's a small town.
That's my point.
It's a small town where these things do not happen.
Yes.
And that's why he would not even expect that something like this would happen this time. I'm saying that because we have read stories here of people, even in Nairobi. Someone walked into a bank, right? In fact, I remember someone walked into a bank here at one of these banks at Samia Park, withdrew money, got into their vehicle. They drove all the way to Embakasi. Okay? They had money in the envelope, they had put it in the glove compartment, and when they left the vehicle, got into a supermarket, they came back out, vehicle had been broken into and someone had gotten the money. It's a common thing. You withdraw that kind of money, you get into a vehicle, you put it somewhere in a car. You go.
Well, you imeenda.
Bwana.
You ime?
No, alifungua chui. Didn't break into the car or nothing.
So they essentially they spammed the alarm.
Even before they spammed the alarm, this thing was well thought out.
Somebody knew. I'm kind of leaning onto where CT's going. Somebody knew that this fellow was going to remove this.
Or maybe not. These thugs, as you're hearing the cop saying that it's happening a lot, these guys will sit somewhere at the parking of the banking hall. They'll observe. They'll observe that you've come out and what you're holding. Then they'll follow you.
Yeah, for sure.
Then they'll wait for wherever you're going to park. Then they'll observe. Then they'll chui, come quickly, pick, go.
You know, there was a time this used to happen a great deal in this town, or some major towns, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nairobi. And what the police found at the time was that bank tellers were part and parcel of
the racket.
Yes. So there's a way in which they would communicate.
Yeah, with someone outside.
Outside, yes. There's a way.
Grey jacket.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all they would say.
Or somebody would be in the banking hall, they would be motioned, and all they needed to do was bump into you and mark your jacket.
Yes.
So as you walked out, it is known that the guy who has that marked jacket, that's the guy who's carrying the money.
It's the guy.
Yes.
Person of interest.
Person of interest.
Anyway, okay. So, Ndu?
Shock of 24 graves. It's carried on page 8 in the Standard today. We've been hearing the story of the church where people, starved themselves by order of their leader so that they could meet Jesus sooner. Okay, man. So yesterday, police were continuing with the investigations of this case in Malindi, and they found 24 fresh graves. Now, fresh grave by definition is 1 to 3 days after they've been dug up, buried. That's what a fresh grave is. Okay.
Yeah.
Kilifi County, they are believed rather to be members of controversial pastor Paul Mackenzie's church. Pastor Mackenzie of the Good News International Church is accused of brainwashing his followers to starve to death to meet Jesus. So this was the way to meet Jesus. Starve, die, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Last week, 4 members of the church were found dead after starving to death, while 11 others were rescued, some in critical condition. So yesterday, a mother and her daughter were found fasting and praying at a forest near the village. Malindi DCI officer Charles Kamau said that there were 5 graves of children and 19 for others, adults. He described the deserted homes in the 800-acre land as a large field of graves. We found 24 graves. 5 of them were small, meaning that they were for children. We will start to unearth them on Monday when the pathologist is present. All homes near Mackenzie's home were deserted. In one homestead, the police found an identification card belonging to a Ugandan. We found South Sudan currency and a Ugandan ID belonging to Alice Khalif. He proves what we suspected, that there are foreigners in the cult. He said the police could not ascertain if the Ugandan was alive or dead until a post-mortem had been conducted on the bodies in the mortuary or of those to be exhumed. The homicide team led by Martin Nyuguto is expected to comb the dusty village until Monday, when Chief Government Pathologist Johansson Odor is expected to arrive at the site to witness the exhumation. Jennifer Mumbi, who was rescued yesterday alongside her daughter, cursed the police and the government for arresting Mackenzie, whom she referred to as a holy man of God.
They found her in the forest,
starving with her daughter, saying she's fasting and praying in the forest.
By the way,
and she said you will never know peace. You're disturbing our prayer session.
You know,
she was dragged to a waiting police vehicle.
Anything that presents itself as a religious undertaking, when followers subscribe to its dictates, in all honesty, they will subscribe
to everything.
Yes. Unquestionably. Because ask yourself, before one gets involved with such a setup, what is it that person is going through to want them to seek that which they feel they can only find in that place?
It's the very edge of desperation. That desperation has pushed you to the edge, and that's what it is. And that somebody comes and delivers this beautiful thing called hope in something that is unseen. But your aspiration for getting away from this place of desperation far outbids or outweighs any kind of logic that you would apply to a situation.
Isn't that what religion is, though?
That's
religion
what it is,
gives you this
it's hope.
Hope. whatever
once
degree of
described,
religion. There are those who are also, very religious. They are not going to the forest to do all these things.
Yeah.
But so others will sit back and say, hey, these people just go to the Kesha overnight here. Every night they're here drumming drums and praying all night and making all noise for us. We can't sleep. And they laugh at them. And then those people who are laughing at them, the following morning, then they are waking up and going to church. And you cannot tell them anything. At 9 a.m. I must be seated in church. And we'll finish at 11. And I'll come home. The difference, there's no difference between, it's just the extent of your faith.
Do you know why it is communism?
Or the extent of your desperation.
You know why communism worked so well in Russia and in China? Remember, they had imperial rulers who went even beyond being dictators.
Indeed.
Their positions were supposed to be divine, okay? Now, what the drivers of communism, the brand that Mao and the brand that Lenin and prescribed, they did away with religion as it was known and introduced communism as a new religion. They replaced it. And people believed in it. Now, if you look at what the believers of the communism faith did, in the name of that faith, it tells you what happens when people embrace a religion and go by their dictates. Yes. And the reason is because it promised the same thing. It promised that it would remove them from the dire situations
in
that
which they
found.
currently are. Absolutely. This is sad, though, because that desperation is looking at parents who are involving their children, and children are starving to death.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm sorry, I can't reconcile with that. It's very, very painful to see things like this.
And I think this is where now the issue of regulation comes in. I mean, just regulate to a certain extent. It's okay, you can have faith, but up to this extent. Because we say these ones are doing that. There are others who take all their money
and give to the church.
We see this all the time.
Yeah.
We do.
There are those who will say, oh, no, me only do 10%. It's faith that tells you to do 10% and give it to church. It's faith. You can't sit and justify and say, mine is called tithe. And it's a subscribed, it's a percentage. And the other person who says, mine, I'm giving the first salary. Others is saying, I'm giving my life. It's regulation of faith.
But you're right. When you find that parents have been deviated from what comes natural to human beings to protect their children.
Yes.
And now they've gotten to the point where they see the suffering of their children, which could lead to eventual death, as being okay.
Yeah.
Something is really wrong.
It's okay. And they see, because look at this, guys, that these 24 people died, 5 of them children. They were buried by somebody.
Yep.
They were buried. And in this warped, deviated thinking, it's that these souls have then ostensibly gone.
They've gone
to meet Jesus.
To be the Lord.
To a better place.
Yep. They've gone to be with the Lord. Again, I tell you, you look at it from one lens.
Yeah.
Abraham could have done that same thing.
Sure. But then look at this mother who was found in the forest yesterday. Her hope was that she would join those other 24 graves.
Yeah. We are doing this because we are going.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Did we look at the Standard?
Yep.
That was the Standard, yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you the story, another story in the Standard, page 3. You remember this story of Uasin Gishu, and an agency had come to Uasin Gishu and was ostensibly working with the county government or getting the endorsement of the county government. And they said that you come, pay some money, go study in Finland. And now that's where the communication breakdown begins. Study in Finland. The amount of money that you've paid is enough for the entire study in Finland. Or the amount of money that you've paid is just for 1 year. Or the rest of the years you're going to get a job in Finland. This and the other. Okay? Then it all unravels after 1 year when the universities in Finland said, okay, pay fees for the second year.
And you're like, what?
And people in Kenya are like, huh?
Pay what?
Say tulilipa 1 million waende wakasoma kuja na kasi na pesa. Now, it's actually getting dire, and there's a sad story. There's one young man who studied at KMTC in Kenya. He worked at Nakuru Level 5 Hospital and Medihill Hospital in Nakuru as a nurse. He's 28 years old. His name is Roger Kipruto. He's one of those that went to study in Finland at the Laurea University of Applied Sciences. Now, when he went to Finland, after, of course, the first 1 year, he started having issues. And he was now speaking to the people back at home and telling them, life is very difficult here. Now we've been told we must pay the second installment of school fees. He knows very well that his parents back home will not be able to easily afford the second tranche of school fees that's expected. And so he was just getting into depression. The man hanged himself, reportedly, and he was found dead in his hostel in Finland. The father, Jonathan Kosgei, says his son went to Finland after a recruitment agency affiliated with the Uasin Gishu county government informed him of potential employment in Finland following his first semester at Laurea. But this opportunity never materialized, leading to mounting frustration. My priest and church members came to my house at 6 a.m. on Wednesday and broke the sad news. I'm yet to believe that he died by suicide just hours after he spoke. Hours after they had spoken. Kosgei says he talked to his son one day before he was reported dead. He added that Kipruto had been in a jovial mood when they spoke. Kosgei and his wife Leah said their son had complained about being misled regarding job opportunities in Finland. At one point this year, he was requesting to come back to Kenya. The parents urged the Uasin Gishu County administration to inform students about the reality of life in Finland, where many students paid up to 1.5 million shillings for diploma and degree courses with a false promise of securing jobs in Finland. Rogers told me that life in Finland was too expensive, the father says. The weather was unbearable and he faced language barriers which worsened his situation. He says that he was happier in Kenya and there were no jobs in Finland as promised. The father says Kipruto had told his siblings that he was worried about the pressure that he was putting on the parents to pay the substantial university fees. The father says he was planning to send 500,000 shillings for school fees next Monday. He paid 150 last week. There was a time he had been thrown out of class and hostels after delays in fees payment, and that disturbed him. The father expressed frustration at paying fees to finish university through the county without ever receiving the institution's fee structure. He presented receipts indicating that he had paid 918,000 shillings in tuition and an additional 256,000 shillings for airfare and other expenses last October. All that in October he had paid 918 plus 256. Then this month he paid 150. Monday, he was planning to send 500,000 shillings. He just did not know, okay, so how much is needed for you to complete this thing that you want to do? How much? He doesn't know. They had been told, once you come to Finland, after 1 year like this, you start working, and now the rest of it, you'll now be okay. What?
What I'd like to know is that are there universities in Finland that teach in the English language? I'm sure they are.
They were learning in English.
Yes.
These universities where they're all studying, none of them is saying that we could not study, which means that the language of instruction was English.
But now,
only now that the community speaks Finnish, you don't understand Finnish.
Sign language.
Kubaya.
When you talk about regulation, does it not stand to reason that there are a lot of areas in our country that require regulation, such as this one? People who promise parents, these are hardworking parents who have to put together do some tumble turn and twist. This guy already had a job.
Imagine. They had sacrificed and paid for him to KMTC. He got a job at level 5 and Medihill. He was working as a nurse. This was now a big opportunity. Now here at KMTC, you got a certificate of nursing. You are going now to something bigger.
You know what I don't understand is, what is this opportunity that was being offered in Finland that he couldn't get in Kenya?
First, the opportunity to upgrade his education, number one. And then the second one it's a sure bet. Once you're there, you get work.
That is a sure bet in very many parts. But this thing about learning and training, there are very, very few specialities that you would need to leave Kenya to go and get. Very, very few. Again, it comes to those who are offering this or those who understand this sort of thing, offering the correct information about this. Because yes, indeed, if I look at Europe right now, you study German, you go to Germany, train, there's a job waiting for you. In some cases, once you get residency,
that's it.
You will get a job.
We speak here with Professor Midori.
Yes.
Japan, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're
They
saying,
even
come,
tell you.
Come, please, come study. You will pay your school fees, or in some cases, you can get a scholarship. But most likely, once you finish, you can even get a job here.
Yeah, you will get a job.
I think the Senate started investigating this matter and then it just died down.
It fizzled.
Yeah, the thing is, how well has this matter been addressed by those in authority? The county government of Uasin Gishu said,
they've given it distance, haven't they?
And
but you can understand, if the county government seems to be involved, or you get the impression they're involved, you trust it.
Yeah.
Essentially,
yes,
they were the ones who were underwriting it.
In fact, until this scandal broke out this way, my own understanding, because I'd heard this story, was that it was the county government. Governor Mandago's one of the big things about Governor Mandago's tenure was, he secured a deal for Uasin Gishu students to go to Finland, study and get employment.
Uasin Gishu airlift.
Yes.
But you know what is also strange about this? We do have another county where students literally got their university fees paid. That's Kwale. It's on record.
Kenya.
In Kenya.
Yeah.
So it is easy to believe when you hear that the county government has such an arrangement, because we have seen it happen. And we've seen it work. Not just happen, work.
Yep.
Now, when something works, you don't hear complaints. In fact, people are silent about it.
Yeah.
I agree with the parents.
It's a very, very sad story.
Very sad story.
Yeah, very sad. Tell us one final story, City.
Mama Ngina calls for political tolerance. This is a story on page 5. Former First Lady says her generation and Mudhonis were true Mau Mau fighters. Now, let me explain the story.
Yes.
Mama Ngina hosted a former field marshal of Mau Mau. Okay? Her name is Marshal Mudhoni Wakirima. Okay? She and her grandson came to visit Mama Ngina at her home in Muthaiga. Okay? Kenya's first founding lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, has called for political tolerance amid heightened tensions and acrimony. Speaking on the day when the opposition resumed anti-government town hall meetings and the bipartisan talks between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza parties failed to take off, Mama Ngina emphasized the need for peace. As my children and Kenyans, I urge all of you to continue preaching and maintaining peace, and to know that we have brought this country from far, she said yesterday. Yes. Hii nchi imetoka mbali.
Tumeitoa mbali.
Yes.
Tumeitoa mbali. Mama Ngina had gone to Mama Wamboi's home last year, and Wamboi, since the days of her days as a field marshal, she had never cut a lock in her hair. So she had those long locks. So Mama Ngina is actually the one who went and cut them. And she said, yes, shave off my locks to symbolize that now we have finally finished this struggle. What is Mama Ngina saying? What is she doing?
Well, apart from that,
what's the message here?
Who is the message to? Is what you want,
who's
you
the
want to
message?
ask. You see, the headline says something quite different. It says, Mama Ngina takes a shot at leaders. Okay? If you look at the
story
on
Standard,
Star, Kenyatta family targets Gachagua in Mount Kenya war.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Same thing. So if we were to go by the headlines, it is not quite what we say.
If you even think about it, I know that the country has seen the people who fought for our independence. I'm a son of Mau Mau. 7 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Vibes Radio.
morning and Eid Mubarak to my fellow Muslims, brothers and sisters across the country and the world. Welcome to Newswire. I am Dennis Aseto. Muslims across the country are celebrating Idd-ul-Fitr today, according to Chief Acting Qadi Hassan Omar Shaikun. He announced the sighting of the moon in Mandera and Wajir counties, thus concluding the fasting during the holy month.
We are satisfied that the crescent of Shawwal have been sighted in those areas. Consequently, it is hereby declared that the Friday, the 21st day of April 2023, will be the first day of Shawwal, the year 1444 Al-Hijri, and consequently, the same day will be the Idd-ul-Fitr.
Now, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have discovered 12 more graves during the operation to rescue Good News International Church Pastor Paul Mackenzie's followers in Shakahola Forest in Malindi. The new graves raised the number of graves discovered thus far to 27, as the sleuths also rescued 3 more people, among them a minor. According to children's rights officers, the majority of the graves are believed to contain bodies of children, some who are required to be the first to fast as per the requirements of the church.
Tuliweza kuokoa watu wasima kama 12, lakini hatukupata watoto hata mmoja. Na kulingana na pale wale watoto tumerescue mara ya kwanza, wametuambia watoto wengi ni kama wamehaga. Hizi kaburi nyingi tunaonyeshwa hapa saa hizi zimefika 18, na zingine tunaendelea kuonyeshwa iende zikakue nyingi ni za watoto wadogo.
The total number of those who died due to the prolonged fast is yet to be established, as it is suspected that each of the graves may contain more than one body. Children's rights officers decried what they termed as failure by the government to act swiftly to stop the activities of the religious group.
Naona kama government bado imelegea kimpango, sababu hii kesi ya Mackenzie nimekuwa nao tangu 2017. Nilikuwa na watoto 43 katika children's home na 30 katika rescue center. Katika watoto wote 73, baadhi yao watoto ni kama half of them wamefariki, nikiuliza wale wenzao wenye walikuwa huku.
Huyu mtu aliwaambia wafuasi wake waweze watoto waanze kufunga mpaka wave, alafu wakina mama wafuate, alafu wase. Kwa hiyo ni kama hiyo ni usuni sana kwangu.
Rights activists are calling on Kenyans to disassociate themselves with such kind of beliefs they say commit crimes against humanity.
We confirm kiukweli ya kwamba sehemu hii ya Shakahola kuna watu wengi tumepata walikuwa wanafunga. Leo tumepata kama watu 4 ambao wameregeshwa Malindi Hospital ili kuweza kupata matibabu ya haraka. Lakini hali hii ni hali mbaya. This is a crime against humanity, na tunaona dini kama hii potovu inazidi kuangamiza Wakenya.
Indeed, to continue to follow up on this developing story, we'll be bringing you the very latest in a subsequent news bulletin. Now, Suba North Member of Parliament Emilio Odhiambo wants persons who leak nude content of their partners on the internet jailed for life. The MP was speaking during a parliamentary debate on sexual harassment, said she is offended by the ongoing harassment and especially of women, and is therefore calling for the harshest punishment for the culprits.
You are not going to harass women. I don't care whether you are in UDA. I don't care whether you are in ODM. When it is an issue of women, my party becomes a woman. Because what is done to another woman will be done to me. The issue of morality is a very personal issue. Whether somebody decides they want to get out of their marriage, we are all answerable to God. So let us not bring issues of somebody to ourselves. Let that be our own issue. But what somebody has done in her privacy, why are you bringing for us here in public? What nonsense is this? We are going to amend our laws and make stricter penalties. I would have actually supported the death penalty on people like that. But because I don't support the death penalty, Madam Speaker, I think we need to enhance the sentences to life for people like that.
She cautioned those who do this with the intent of shaming people on social media to consider the collateral damage of their actions.
You want to stand here and give us your moral high ground. We all don't know what you do in your private lives. It's only God who knows what you do. Behind that person you are harassing, there is a human being. You do not understand what that person is going through. I happen to know some of those people at a very close level, and their lives and their children's lives have been destroyed. At least if you are not bothered about that person, have mercy on their children. We are so morally bereft. You think you are better than the person that you are sharing. The fact that you can share that before people, even if I take the photo and it is mine, there is nothing wrong. There is no law against it. The problem is you who is sharing my photo, because I'm very sure I'm not the one who shared those photos. So why are you sharing my photo? Even in this country, the Constitution ensures the right to privacy.
I'm Dennis Oseto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
We're not having an issue with traffic this morning. Most of these Nairobi streets flowing free and fair. Nothing happening coming off Thika Superhighway. You're into the city without too much of an issue, as well as coming off Mombasa Road. Really nothing. The CBD is like a sleepy ghost town this morning. Very few in terms of vehicles on the roads. We'll keep an eye on things through the morning and see how it opens up, but likely we'll not have an issue with traffic today. Talk to us anyway on Spice FM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
To everybody, and thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room, now live on Spice FM, KTN Home, YouTube and Facebook. Have you called the number 0709 881300? This is the number for Kingdom Bank, and they're saying just call us 0709 881300. Put in some money with them and you earn interest of up to 10%. Starting from as low as 50,000 shillings onwards. Put any money in your fixed deposit account or other accounts for a period of 3, 6 or 12 months, and it will be earning interest. Songambele na Kingdom Bank, terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Bank, regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. We want to have a conversation about alcohol, drugs, substance abuse in the country. And we have a guest who's joining us now in the studio. His name is Professor Yossi Harold Fish. Professor Yossi is a former chief scientist at the Israeli Drug Authority, but he's also very many things that he wears very many hats as well. Let me just read some of the things that he's done. Professor Yossi is the founding director of the International Research Center on Adolescent Well-Being and Health at the School of Education at Bar-Ilan University, and served for the past decade in the Israeli government as a chief scientist of the Israel Anti-Drug Authority. He's done a lot. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
We called that the hot seat of the Situation Room.
The hot seat, yeah.
Yes.
I'm privileged to sit here.
Karibu sana. Your first or second time or third time in Kenya?
This is my second time in Kenya. I was here just before the pandemic broke out, but I've been working with my colleagues here in Kenya since then for the past 3 years very intensively on ideas and thoughts about how we can be helpful to establish a effective policy and strategy for the country to reduce the burden, enormous burden, both financially but mainly human burden of addiction in this society, based on the 4 decades of work that I've been involved in with my colleagues over Europe and other places in the globe. And we are here to help.
Good. You'll tell us all about that. To welcome you to the show,
thank you very much.
That gentleman called C.T. Muga gives us a day's proverb from
Burkina Faso. Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the country of Burkina Faso, the country of honest and upright men. Okay, that actually is the derivative from the name Burkina and then Faso. Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Yes.
Prof, does that make sense to you? That proverb? Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
It not only it makes sense, but I think that our whole being here on earth is motivated by what we bring with us from home. And what we bring with us from home are the values and norms and maybe religion, but things that we received from our parents, from our grandparents, and from our ancestors. So yes, I'm a strong believer in the fact that a person is actually the manifestation of his ancestors, and our responsibility on earth is to take what we have been given and make the best out of it for the good of people.
Very well put.
I couldn't have put it any better. Yes. I mean, even from a scientific point of view, when you look at your genetic makeup, it's something you inherit.
Yep.
Yes.
That's true. Prof, tell us about yourself. What is it that you do and what have you been doing in this field of addiction?
Well, I was born in England. I moved to Israel with my family when I was only 5 years old, and grew up in Israel. But then I went out to do my academic studies, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and that's when I got caught into the whole area of childhood and adolescent well-being and health, looking at what is causing children to be happy, what is causing children to grow up and manifest their potential and go through this via dolorosa of childhood and adolescent years and come out at the other side with the tools that they need for adulthood. Basically, I'm an academician. I'm a researcher. I've been involved for 40 years with the World Health Organization doing a major study that's called the health behaviors in school-age children, today covering 60-odd countries in the world, where we put together the research teams and the best minds in the field of adolescent health. And we collect data from all these countries on representative samples of children and actually build the knowledge about what's happening in the daily life of children and use that knowledge to develop ideas for policy and for programs and for interventions to get people, to get the children in a better place. Now, as a sociologist, and Siti, I know that you are also an academician and a scientist or researcher. As a sociologist in my background, you know, sociologists, when we do research, we all the time look for differences between people. Differences between men and women, differences between people from this background or that background, between different cultures and countries. And of course, we find differences from time to time. However, the biggest surprise again and again and again when I go out and do the research, and we've been doing research in all the continents in the world, excluding Antarctica, I think, but I've been out there, and I've been, over the years, I visited many countries, and I looked into the eyes of children, into the eyes of adolescents in all these places, and I looked at the data coming out of them. And the biggest surprise is not the difference between the children, but the similarity. The fact that a child is a child is a child, and it doesn't matter where he lives, what religion or culture he comes from, what is the color of his skin, it doesn't matter. Children are the same. The same things cause them happiness. The same things harm them. The same things stop their ability to manifest their potential and go forward. It's not my. I mean, Mother Teresa said at the time that there's more hunger in the world for love and affection than for bread. And when you understand that a child, wherever he is, he needs to feel safe, he needs to be loved, he needs to know that there's a significant adult behind him that's always there for him and will always help him make the right decisions and go the right way. And children have to know that when they go to school, they're going to have a wonderful day, and no one is going to bully them, and no one is going to be disrespectful to them, and the teachers see him and understand him. These are basic needs that children need wherever they are. So over the years, with that knowledge, and I'm making it very shallow, but it has a lot of faces, a lot of dimensions, but with that knowledge, we were able to develop new models that are more effective in terms of managing to create change to make the lives of children better. And those models have principles that if you do them, they might look differently in one culture compared to another culture, but it's the same principle. So if you understand that, you're able, and that's what we developed over the past 15 or 20 years, to go into new cultures and very slowly and modestly take the principles that you know, take the learning from success that you bring with you, learn the local culture together with your local partners, and tailor the strategy and the policy to be culturally sensitive and sensitive to the political system, to the government system, to the school system, which might be different from one place to another, and be able to evaluate it in a small pilot and then take it on and implement it in that country. And that is something that I've been invested in the last 15 years. To go around in countries where they did not yet build neither the scientific structure of monitoring and evaluating and building the data that provides you the ability to do evidence-based policy, and not just a policy because you decided that that's the nice thing to do, but that it's based on evidence and that you can be working with measurable objectives for achievement within the next year, 5 years, 10 years, and then you have your finger on the pulse, and you can work much better like that.
Right.
So we've been doing that in many countries. I've been working in China for many years now, and now we're working in the United Arab Emirates. I hope to be doing this here today, in Kenya, and it really puts the ability to influence, to impact an area like addiction, for example, much more effectively.
So what have you found in Kenya? I mean, you said that you go to different countries and seeing what they've been able to set up in terms of structure for protection of young people, And now that we're talking about addiction, drug and alcohol is a drug, but all right, looking across board, what have you found in Kenya that would look as though they were the gaps and they need proper structure to fill up?
Well, I'll say like that. First of all, I'm fascinated with Kenya. The population here is very, very interesting and very diverse and has many dimensions. But the first thing I found here, I understood, of course, that like in any other country in the world, you have an addiction problem that in some places might be more severe, in other subpopulations less severe, but it's there and it's severe. And we don't have the data. That's one of the things that we discovered, is that you don't have yet, to the best of my knowledge, there's no national data system that collects the data. Yet no one can tell me today what's the percentage of children in 10th grade or in 12th grade that binge drinking at least once a month. You don't have that data. So this is a type of methodology that we can bring in here, and together with the researchers in the University of Nairobi, we're starting to talk about doing a pilot and developing that system. So that's one of the things I discovered. The other thing which is eye-opening is structures and the amount of fantastic professional people in the field. You have Nakada, of course, that has been doing a wonderful work in this field. You have APRAC, the non-government agency that is actually a body that brings together all the directors of about 240 treatment and rehabilitation centers across the country, and they work together and they think together and they share experiences, and the chairman, Boniface, is coordinating all of that together and working with NACADA and with the government. And for me, that is fantastic, because in many countries, especially in developing countries, you don't see that development already there. So you have people who are professionals with a lot of experience, and it makes me happy, because it means that when we start exploring the introduction of models that were successful in other places and tailoring it here, there's someone to work with. You're not starting to work by yourself. There's someone to work, and they are thirsty to receive that knowledge and to work with it. So I feel that within the next period of months, years, we can be very helpful in working with the local fantastic professional people and with these structures I talked about and with the government and starting to put together what is already existing here, but to harness it into models that work and into a scientific evaluation system that will enable you to, as you go along, to see if you are effective. And wherever you're not affected, to do the changes needed till you manage to go to the success. So that's why I am very optimistic about what can be done here. And I met this week also with the second lady, the wife of the deputy president, and I was fascinated by her enthusiasm and her commitment to do whatever is needed for disadvantaged populations and for youth at risk and things like that. And last time I was here, I met with His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, then Deputy President, today of course the President, and I heard from him the same attitude of compassion for the need to do this and encouragement to continue to think about how to do it, and I know that we have the back of his office. So I'm very optimistic that we can really together boost up the ability to prevent, to treat, and do the proper rehabilitation that has to be done to those people who have been affected.
In the countries that you've worked in, can you tell us which ones have actually embraced some of these findings that research has brought to the fore, but more specifically, what it is about the findings and the manner in which it was presented that made them adopt it, and again, how well that worked?
Well, there's many examples like that. First of all, the 60 countries in Europe and North America have been doing this research work since the beginning of the 80s. We're celebrating in June 40 years of the Health, Behavior and School-Age Children cross-national study that has basically become the backbone of knowledge about daily lives of children that governments are using in order to implement programs and direct their policy. And there's enormous amount of examples, not only in addiction, in many other areas of well-being and of health, that countries took the data from HBSC, developed a policy and managed to show that they're doing a big difference, anything from nutrition through youth violence in school, bullying, and other well-being, many other examples. And in the last 3 years, it's the terrible impact of the COVID pandemic on the mental and behavioral well-being of children across the world. And we have been studying it, and today we have better tools. So one of the major revolutions that the data brought us to is the realization that most of the prevention approaches that were based on treating the pathology, finding what is the risk factors and trying to mend them, okay? Telling children, say no to drugs. You have to be not very clever to think that a child is using drugs because we forgot to tell him, say no to drugs. So why do you think if you come to a child's life and you tell him, say no to drugs, he will stop using them?
So then what are the reasons?
So first of all, we know that all the programs that are dealing with the risk factors and trying to mend them, they might have a very short period of impact, but then they dissolve and there's no maintenance, there's no sustainable impact. There's no real change that happens. When does a change happen? We discovered that when we did a meta-analysis of all the research that has been done for years on the determinants of these risk factors, the determinants of well-being, we found that the 4 main determinants that always surf up as in the research as the strongest predictors of patterns of behaviors and of mental health of the children, all the 4 of them are not risk factors, they are protective factors, they're resiliency factors, that the absence of them in the lives of children is causing the children to go to the wrong direction.
And what are those for?
Oh, you want already the solution?
Yes.
So I'll tell you the solution. But you have to realize that caused a 180-degree shift in the whole way of thinking and the whole way of doing things in our field.
So essentially,
and countries started to do it differently because I'll tell you what it's for. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I want to come. I want to ask a question differently, even as you come to that, because we're saying here that we're looking at ways in which you can now try to get younger people to have conversations about what's going on with them that would cause them to go towards drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
That's putting them in a very difficult situation, isn't it? So, and then now you're saying that there are four things, that the absence of these four things is what then is making them make the decision to go towards substance abuse. Now, I think that's where we're trying to go now. What are those four things, the absence of these four things?
I don't want to go directly to the four things because the most important thing to understand is what is the meaning of it. And then I'll tell you the four things. The meaning of it is that we have to think the other way around. What is our goal to see a child finishing his high school? Yeah. Do we want a child that is not violent, that is not using drugs, that doesn't do these? It's not enough. We want something much larger than that. Mm-hmm. We want a child that has the tools to continue on, is happy, is smiling, is got friends around him. We call that well-being. Mm. And when we discovered what we discovered, that it's not risk behaviors. Violence is a symptom. Using drugs is a symptom. Those are not the problems. Mm. Those are the symptoms of the problem. The problem was the lack of well-being, the lack of total physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being of a person. By the way, that's the definition of health by the World Health Organization. A total condition of physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being of a person. And we took that as a well-being. Mm-hmm. If you manage to boost that up, to bring the well-being of a child up, he doesn't need drugs. He doesn't go there. So the question is not what conversation you have to do in order for the child to understand that he doesn't have to drugs. Mm. The goal is what can you do to build his alternatives in terms of behaviors. Instead of going out with his friends to drink, what alternatives can we build in the community, in the local authorities? What can we give him to boost up his resiliency and to boost up his well-being? And now I'll tell you the four things, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's other determinants like that, but those four things really put you in the right direction of thinking and knowing what is missing here. Mm-hmm. The number one determinant of well-being of children is existing of a significant adult in his life. Mm-hmm. It can be a parent, it can be a teacher in school, it could be a mentor in the community, it can be his trainer in football. Mm-hmm. But someone who's there with unconditional love, that and I'm not talking about romantic love, I'm talking about compassion and acceptance and being there. Mm. Unconditionally, not because how you behave, but because when you woke up in the morning, you were you. That's all what you had to do in order for me to be there for you. Mm. I can dislike your behavior, I can dislike your clothes, I can dislike your friends, but I always like you, and I love you, and I see you, and I'm always there for you. A child that has significant adults like that in his life is protected, and he is much more lifted out and being able to deal with anything that comes along his way that day. Mm-hmm. The second determinant is a positive daily experience in school and in the community. Children go for 12 years to school day after day after day. And if they go to school and they feel that the teachers see them and care for them, and that they are respected, and that they have the efficacy to deal with the scholastic needs that they have to do, and they have a positive experience, they wake up in the morning and they go to school with a smile on the face. A child that doesn't have that every morning wakes up and goes to a place that he dislikes, that he doesn't feel that he belongs there, that he knows that he will be disrespected, and maybe also exposed to victimization from bullying and so on. Those children are in a very, very bad situation compared to those that have that positive experience. And the secret is that it's very easy for the adults in the educational system to give children the experience of a positive school experience. Yeah. The very small things that you can do to give children the positive experience in school if you understand how important it is. The third determinant of well-being is the sense of self-worth. We found that out when we saw the children that are volunteering in the community, for example. They're doing much better than others because from giving, they receive back this sense of self-worth. Especially if it's visible and their friends know about it and the community knows about it. And that is, again, something that's very easy to do. You take a child that you want to enhance his resiliency, and you give him a task in school, that task causes other kids to come to him to receive something. Or you have to be a bit creative. A child that gets praised for something, he doesn't have to be praised that he did fantastic in mathematics. He can be praised also because he helped one of the girls cross the street. I don't know, but it could be anything. But if he gets acknowledged for good things that he did, and I'll tell you the secret, the big secret that we discovered is that every child on earth, and it could be the most challenging child, every child on earth has at least one thing that is good at. At least one thing that is good at. So if he's the one that's doing the graffiti on the walls of the school, he knows how to paint and draw. If he's breaking into the computers and doing, he's good in computers. If he's a gang leader, he has leadership. So when we sit down with teachers and ask them to work on a specific child that is doing most of the problems in school, and after about half an hour that they're doing work on that child, we ask them, okay, now you have to identify one thing that is good at. Do you know what happens usually? They discover 3 or 4 things is good at. They never saw it before because they didn't look for it. They were so much involved in combating his behavior that they never stopped a minute to see, okay, what's his talents? The minute you know what the talent of that child is, you can pick him up from there and enhance him through something that he does good, because the minute he'll do it, he'll be successful. He'll be successful, he'll be praised, so his sense of self-worth will go up. Fourth determinant of well-being, it makes sense so far, right?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
The fourth determinant of well-being is social connectedness with your peers. We are all social animals. Each of us, the adults, we have to know that we are popular among our closer circles of friends. We have the 2 or 3 friends that will always be there for you when you need them. Children, and especially adolescents, as they grow up from infancy up towards adolescence, the centrality of their social life becomes more and more central and more important for them. And children that feel popular among their friends, that feel that they're connected to their friends, they're doing with them activities, and it's a very significant part of their lives, they are resilient, they are up there, they know that whenever they need someone to talk to, they know exactly who that person is at 2 o'clock in the morning, whenever. Children that don't have that feel that they are excluded from the circles of friends they want to belong to, they are in enormous stress. And by the way, that's where, City, and you know that's where peer pressure kicks in. Because peer pressure, which is another universal phenomena anywhere in the world, including in stories of the Bible, with Joseph's brothers throwing him into the because they're challenging each other and so on. It's a peer pressure. Peer pressure in the adolescent's life is not an active verb. It's not something that your friends are doing and pressurizing you. That's not peer pressure. Peer pressure is a passive phenomena. It's your perception of what you think your friends expect you to behave. So that's why I'll go and drink alcohol, because I think my friends will think that I'm cool.
Yeah.
But that's not correct.
But they never told you.
No, it's a professor. So this whole social connectedness, the minute if you're not connected, you have this desire to be connected, and then you do stupid things because you think that will make you more popular. But if you know how to do it correctly, it's a different way. So again, the significant adults are very important because they can identify a lack of social connectedness, and they can do little things to get to boost it up.
Let's take a break on that note. A very good. So those 4 points, we'll come back on them and now get deeper into them. Professor Yossi Harold Fish is a professor at He's very many things. Let's just say he's worked with the government of Israel and other governments. He's a chief scientist at the Israel Anti-Drugs Authority. He has been working with several stakeholders here in Kenya and seeing how can we reduce the burden of drugs and alcohol abuse in the country. And that's what we're discussing. At 25 minutes to 8, we're taking this break to remind you it's a long weekend and this is a time to binge watch.
Exactly. It's a time to binge watch on Showmax. Just go to showmax.com. Of the very many things on offer, Second Family, Kenya's first telenovela, is on, and it looks at the intrigues of Leo Lagat's family after his demise and the things that come up out of the ashes. Wealth, drama, hate,
everything.
Murder. You want to watch it?
That's on Showmax, 25 to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Oh my God, look at the curtains. Oh, and the shoes. Wow, my dream fridge. Oh.
What is it? My friend, you don't have money. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes. I know what to do. The interest on my fixed deposit has matured to Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank.
What is it about Kingdom Bank? Everyone is surprising me about this Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank move.
Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank. Kingdom Bank is now offering mid to long-term fixed saving with higher interest rates. Earn up to 10% interest from as little as 50,000 Kenya shillings on our fixed and core deposits. Enjoy variety of our great services including savings and junior savings accounts for your kids. Get return on your fixed investments today at Kingdom Bank. Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank. Shop now for all you want. Talk to us on 0709 881300 for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
16 degrees and sunny conditions in Nairobi, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 25 as well in a sunny Nakuru. It's 17 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 26 in a sunny Eldoret, currently at 14. Sunny conditions at 25 in Mombasa, and at 26 it's sunny in Malindi. 20 and mostly cloudy in Kisumu. We'll see highs of 29 and highs of 28 in a cloudy Kakamega at 18. Kampala rain showers continue this morning, highs of 27 and highs of 30 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam at 24. It's 10 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 32 in a partly cloudy Lagos at 28. At 23, it's mostly cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 30 down to lows of 23.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Unright. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So not much of an issue with traffic this morning. You'll get where you're going in no time. Be careful though, because those empty streets makes you want to go faster. And let's just be really, really careful. Traffic in and outbound most parts of the city is not looking like a problem at all. So we'll keep an eye on things through the morning, just in case anything does go out of whack. Tell us where you are, what you're up to, just in case. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
He is Professor Yossi Harold Fish. He is a social scientist, the director of International Research Program on Adolescent Wellbeing Health at Bar-Ilan University in Israel. He's also founding director of Wellbeing International Addiction Global Advisory Group. He has served as a chief scientist at the Israel Anti-Drugs Authority. He's here in the country working with several stakeholders on how research can help reduce the burden of drugs and alcohol abuse. City, you have very many questions.
Well, actually, most significantly, he is a grandfather.
He is a grandfather?
Yes, 12 grandchildren and counting. And the eldest of these grandchildren is 12. So,
absolutely.
Now, given what we've just been looking at, I can only surmise one thing. The professor is a fulfilled man.
Yes.
Because you are fulfilled.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But now, back to what we were looking at. Even as the professor was walking us through these four main determinants and patterns of behavior, I couldn't help but marvel that the very things that we relate the well-being of young people with or in are the same things you relate the well-being of adults. Same.
You took away my punchline. That's the big secret.
My apologies.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's exactly true, because these are exactly the four determinants of well-being for us, and they might look different. I don't need a significant adult, but I need a significant other. Okay, I have to know 2 o'clock in the morning I need help. I know exactly who will be there for me. I have to go to work and know that I'm going to a place where I feel belong there. I feel that I have that my bosses see me and are there for me if I need them, that I get the support I need, that I can do my work and excel in it. So that's the school environment. And then I want to feel self-worth, of course, and my social connectedness. If a person, it doesn't matter if he's 9 years old or 90 years old, when he wakes up in the morning and these four dimensions of his life are okay, fulfilled, he has a great day. So what we have been learning over the past several years is how to enhance these determinants, how to identify people that don't have them, and especially I'm in the area of children, adolescents, and young adults. We didn't talk about that population, but it's a student age, which actually also serve as the role models for the adolescents in high school. So, how to identify and how to enhance these. So we're working with parents, we're working with teachers to give them the understanding and the tools, and it creates a fantastic change. It's amazing.
Yeah. If we look at it's interesting because looking at some things that have been put together over the last 2.5 years, especially after COVID, where everybody was, more or less locked up and you had to stay indoors, we've seen significant in Kenya that the cases of drug and alcohol abuse in younger people have risen significantly. Now, if you were to apply what you've talked about this morning, and you started from the end, would you unequivocally say that those who then have a drug problem have one or more of these determinants or lack of them present in their situation?
Most likely, yes. But it's the story is slightly more complicated than that. Most likely, yes. But what usually I will be focused on is not what is missing in their life, but what can I do in order to enhance those four. If I see children drifting into drug use, that means that something is not yet perfect in the family culture that they come from, in the support of their parents. Again, it all depends on the age of the child. So I'll go and try to see where can we enhance those determinants in order to stop the deterioration into drug addiction, into alcohol addiction. I'll tell you the story of alcohol with COVID, and this is findings from the HBC study in all of Europe, including in my own country in Israel. We collected data in 2019, just before the pandemic broke up. So we have baseline data to compare. Then in 2021, 1.5 years into the pandemic, we collected data again from the children. And then a year later, at May, June of 22, when the children were already a full year inside the schools, back in school, we collected data again. And what we found was amazing with alcohol. We found that the rate of binge drinking between 2019 to 21 to the pandemic went down very significantly, almost vanished. And in 22, it went back up again to about 3 times higher than what it was before the pandemic. It just sprung up. Why? Because in most of the societies, alcoholism is not the problem of youth. That's not the problem. Adult person who is drinking and becoming alcoholic, he drinks when no one sees him at home. It's a different behavior. The youth, it's a social drinking. They go out to party with their friends. They go out to socialize at night, and they go to places, they bring booze with them, or they go to places where they can drink. Now, if everybody's closed down at home, and the community is shut down, and all the places where you go to party are shut down, and you don't see your friends because there's a curfew, so you don't go out to party. You don't go out to party. You don't drink. So where we see in most countries there's an increase in alcohol sales during the pandemic, it's because adults were drinking, not because of the children. And when I saw those data in 21, I was yelling and shouting at the Israeli government corridors and in the parliament. I said, guys, this is not good news that it went down. It's very bad news, because what it means is that the minute the community will open up and the kids will be released from being in home, they will have a boomerang effect, and they'll just go out there and go straight back into the arms of socialization with alcohol.
So what did you
and
want
if
the
we
government?
don't do something to prevent it, now it will be too late. And of course, the wheels go very slow, and they didn't.
What did you want them to do?
Well, that's what we're doing now, and we're learning from success, and it goes back also to one of your questions about which country succeeded, and I'll tell you that story. We have to learn together with the children how to influence fun instead of seeking all the time fun under the influence. We have to understand that you can have fun without needing alcohol or drugs or any other substance. We are raising new generations of children that think that anything they want to achieve in life, they need a substance to help them achieve it. They want to be relaxed, they need a cigarette. They want to concentrate on the exam, they need to take Ritalin. They want to have the courage to go to the beautiful young lady, or if it's a lady, to go to that beautiful boy and start with them and try to do something. So they have to drink alcohol to get the courage. If they want to party and have fun with their friends, they need a joint. And I'm telling the kids all over the world, learn from Nike. You are going around with T-shirts of Nike. You're going around with jogging shoes of Nike. What is Nike's slogan?
Just do it.
Yeah. You want to do something, just do it. You don't need any substance to achieve it. Just do it. And when that sinks in, that's a realization, number one. Number two, it's not enough. Every beginning parent knows that if you all the time tell your child, don't do this and don't do that, nothing changes if you don't build alternative. If you don't teach the child or help the child understand what to do instead. Adolescents need to socialize. They need to be with their friends. They need to feel excited. You have to build alternative way of socializing and having fun. And that's the responsibility of the family, but of the community and the local authority to develop the alternatives. And the alternatives in the non-formal education system in the community, going out there to do sports and doing soccer and doing tennis or whatever, going out there to classes of arts and music and youth clubs and youth movements, volunteering in the community. The idea is to structure the leisure time of children. Structure the leisure time of children, because the biggest problem is boredom. If during that leisure time, when they come back from school till they go to sleep, there's windows of boredom, that's where all the problems happen. So if you are able to build a structure for the leisure time, together with partnership with the parents, partnership with the community, that's the way to go. It's a positive psychology, proactive approach. It's not a reactive approach. I'm a big fan of proactivity. We don't have to wait there till something happens and then you have to react to it. Be clever. Go out there and start. And that's what I meant when I told the Israeli government, this is bad news. We have to start doing something to prevent it. And they didn't do it, and that's what happened. And now we're doing it. But It's not too late, of course, but we could have done it earlier. Now, what is the example of the country that succeeded? Iceland. Iceland was about 10 years ago. They were always at the top of the list of risk compared to all the other countries in Europe. The children were drunk. The rates of drunkenness, the rates of bullying at school, the rates of mental distress, the rates of drug abuse and going away from running away from school and so on. They were always at the top of the chart, number one or number two, worse compared to all the other countries, till the government decided to do something about it. And they took those principles of the positive psychology. The model that I developed is called youth resiliency, and it's based on those four factors I talked about before. And we over the years we translated the conceptual model into a intervention strategy, and we're working with that all over the world. They took some of those principles and principles from other models in positive psychology, and they did a fantastic thing. First of all, they harnessed the parents. They did a lot of explaining, through the radio shows and television shows and sending parents information. But then they harnessed the parents. Parents had to sign a charter where they are committing themselves to do something like 10 things, including one parent has to be at home when the child comes back from school. From 4 till 8 o'clock, a parent has to be at home. You have to do everything in your power to explain to the children how dangerous it is to use alcohol and drugs and make sure that they don't use it. And one of the main things is structure the child's leisure time activity. And the government subsidized, I think it was something like $500 for each family, depending on how many children, money that's colored to use to pay for the extracurricular activities. So if they register them for music class, so they have money from the government to help them subsidizing. And the government subsidized the organizations that are doing these activities. From both sides they subsidize. So they put in a lot of money to help this happen. And children started to go to all these activities, and their life was structured. They had something that in some countries you can't do. They put a curfew that from 11 o'clock at night, and in the summer it's 12 o'clock at night, children have to be inside the home. Doesn't have to be their home, but they mustn't be outside, and so on and so forth. They put in funding, a commitment, leadership, but the most important thing is working with teachers and parents and working with the children themselves on building the alternative, so that the need to go and seek alcohol and drugs just resolved away. Within 6 years, they became one of the best countries in Europe in terms of the rates.
Professor, there's something I need to understand here. The story of Iceland, I understand. They were at the precipice. They saw disaster. They could see it. There was no running away from it. How do you get to convince governments who are heading there, haven't quite gotten there? The signs are there. How do you get them to see? Because it is far easier at that level when they can see the problem but it hasn't become a disaster to mitigate than when it actually now becomes a full-blown disaster. How do you get them to understand this?
3 ways.
Yes.
Number one, health behavior in school-age children survey system that will collect the data so I can come to the government and say, this is your picture. This is what's happening today. And even more so, in 2 years' time, I can show them what are the trends. If it's going up, going down, what are the trends? So when they see suddenly the data and they see what the situation is, and I can compare it to 60-odd countries in the world, and I can choose from the countries that are most similar to this country, and you suddenly see how you're doing compared to other countries that have started to do the work. So first of all is the data. Today, you don't have in Kenya. I'm talking with officials here. No one is able to tell them what is the exact situation. They know from the problems that come to treatment or the police come to know, but they don't know the real rates of what's happening in the population. So that's number one, is building the data system that will give you the information. Number two is the cost of the burden of drug and alcohol abuse. And we know how to calculate it. We've calculated in many countries, and one of the fantastic things is that almost all of the countries are moving around 5% of the gross national product annually. You know what 5% of the GNP in Kenya is? It's milliards of dollars. It's an enormous amount of money. So you're losing such a big chunk of your budget. And I'm talking only about national budget. I'm not talking about social cost.
Yeah.
The cost for the families, the cost for the community, the cost for the patients themselves. I'm not talking about that. That's another issue. Only the cost that comes out from the taxpayer's pocket. 5% of the gross national productivity. So if a government realizes that, and realizes, and that's the third, that there are ways to reduce it. There are ways. We know how to reduce it. We know how to start reducing it. We know to go one step after another and start reducing, and we can translate that reduction to money. We know from all over the world that every dollar spent on prevention, on the average, is saving $10 from the cost of the burden. So calculate it. So it's not that you have to put a budget of, let's say, $200,000 to do a prevention program in school. Those $200,000, multiply them by 10, that is what you're saving. So if you work with decision makers to understand these three things, to see the data, to know that if you do A, B, C, D, that data will look differently in another 5 years and another 10 years. And all of that translates into a reduction in the cost of addiction. That usually is a motivation for decision makers to go down that path.
So in the case of Kenya in 2020, the president said, addressing the nation, said, we are having a mental health crisis. Established a task force. In fact, it was called the Task Force on Mental Health and Well-Being Towards Happiness and National Prosperity. That task force came back to the president with a report that showed the enormity of the mental health issues that we have in the country and said, in fact, declare this a national emergency of epidemic proportions. The government did not do that. How do you make this a government then move? Start to see, because all these things.
It's the same thing. If you can show the government a success of another country, especially if it's a neighboring country that did something and was successful, that is a very strong, compelling argument. But I just want to mention that mental health and addiction go together hand by hand. Yeah. This is comorbidity, and it goes both ways. Addiction is causing problems with mental health, and mental health is causing people to go to addiction. And we are not aware of, for example, in the workplace, people that are working under stress many times will resort to substances to help them cope with the stress. And if we are not there in the workplace with structures that enable them to receive resources to cope with their stresses in a different way and in a more productive way, we are not helping them out. So it's all of that matrix of understanding that mental health and addiction go together, and you can do the same strategy. You don't have to have two different strategies. The strategy, for example, in China, they know that already. So the centers that are dealing with that are dealing with addiction and mental health together. And that's the most effective way to do it. So I think the people and the organizations that are dealing with mental health and those that are dealing with substance use and addiction, and by the way, there's other addictions, not only substance use, especially screen addiction after the pandemic. Kids were inside the screens for 2 years, and now we have difficulties getting them out of there. But if they work together hand by hand and understand this relationship, they can bring the resources together instead of each one spending different money. And do activities that are working on both of them.
Professor, thank you very much for joining us today and for sharing with us all these insights. Professor is a social scientist. He is a chief scientist at the Israeli Anti-Drugs Authority. Professor Yossi Harold Fish has been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 8 a.m.
Up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has hinted at the opposition's outfit's proposals to initiate far-reaching reforms to the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. Speaking in Murang'a, the Azimio leader said the coalition party wants REBC to be devolved and 47 electoral units established where results will be final. This is a paradigm shift from the current setup where results are collected from all the 290 constituencies and tallied at the Bomas of Kenya, which is the national tallying center.
Tukubaliane vile sisi tutabadilisha tume ya uchaguzi ili uchaguzi ingine ikija tena kusiwe na hii shida tena. Tunataka IBC ingine iwe hapa Murang'a county na matokeo ambayo yamesaba Murang'a county inakuwa final. Tuelewana vizuri.
In addition, in what appears to be introducing some of the proposals of the BBI mediation program between him and retired President Uhuru Kenyatta into his wishes for the government of President William Ruto, Raila has requested that the issue of one man, one vote, one shilling be brought back to the negotiating table between him and Ruto.
Open the server. Kama mkate ni yako, tutakuangalia ukikula, hatutasema chochote.
Nataka ili mabadiliko tulipendekeza katika BBI ya kusema one man, one vote, one shilling. Irudishwe.
Now, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio have expressed hopes that the talks, which are expected to be held through a joint committee, will bear fruits despite the existing differences. In its first session, the representatives of the two parties have vowed to continue with the planning meetings despite the controversy raised regarding the membership of Eden Kainan and David Kosing. The Kenya Kwanza side has demanded that Kosing be removed on the basis that the KUP party is in an MOU with Kenya Kwanza, while Azimio wants Kainan to be removed on the basis that he is a member of Azimio and cannot represent Kenya Kwanza in the negotiations despite his association with the team.
We have allowed the two negotiating teams to begin engaging. We did raise the issue of the inclusion of the Honorable Eden Kainan, the MP for Elders, as a member of the Kenya Kwanza negotiating team. They have also raised an issue about our inclusion of the Honorable David Kosing as a member of our negotiating team.
And it is therefore not an issue that as the House leadership we can ably resolve in this meeting. And that is why we have referred it back to our party leaders for guidance.
This Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has described the meeting as very successful and expressed hope that the chairman of both teams, that is George Murungara and Otiende Amolo, will be able to move forward with the negotiations as the issues at hand continue to be resolved. A statement supported by Majority Leader in the Senate, Aaron Cheruiyot.
Today we begin to speak to each other, not at each other, and to engage and put all the issues that have been raised out there on the table and be able to agree on them. And we have confidence that under the leadership of Mheshimiwa Otiende Amolo and Mheshimiwa Gitonga Murugara, this team will be able to deal with all those issues. And
given that this is a first meeting that you're having, it will be impossible to agree on everything. But at least we have made some good progress. There are things that we have agreed on. Then there are some that unfortunately we couldn't resolve, at least not at our level, which as you've been informed by my colleague leaders, we have resolved then to take it back to the leadership of the coalition.
In the official report from the meeting, Rarieda Member of Parliament Otiende Amolo stated that both parties will prepare their demands before being included in the next meeting scheduled for Tuesday next week. Likewise, they have asked politicians from all parties to refrain from making statements that may threaten the proceedings of the committee. They have also agreed that complex issues should be directed to their leaders, that is Raila Odinga of Azimio and President William Ruto, Kenya Kwanza leader. And the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops has lauded the push for bipartisan talks to resolve issues of contention between politicians and in the country. KCCB says there's a need to resolve the current standoff on the bipartisan talks process to enable dialogue led by Archbishop Anthony Muheria. They've called on all parties and Kenyans to refrain from demonstrations and commit to dialogue for a reconciled and inclusive nation. The bishops want the government to give tax relief on basic commodities.
Must raise an alarm that what happens when antagonism hardens their hearts and allow pride and stubbornness to close any avenue of peace that comes about through constructive dialogue and the spirit of true patriotism We therefore wish to encourage all parties and citizens at large to refrain from destructive demonstrations.
I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, not having a problem with traffic this morning. Through many parts of the city, you'll be able to get in and out in record time. And it shouldn't bother you whether coming in from the Thika Superhighway or other parts of the city, coming off Mombasa Road, Jogo Road, which normally has issues at around this time. Not having problems with that today because of the holiday. Obviously, getting into the weekend with clear roads, isn't it? Smile on your face. Let's talk on Spice FM KE through the morning, but we should be fine traffic-wise.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room,
Good morning.
the only way to start your day.
Everybody. It's a happy Friday, and we wish Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters who tune into The Situation Room every morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have you called the number 0709 881300? This number will be answered by people at Kingdom Bank because they want you to songa mbele na Kingdom Bank. Songa mbele na Kingdom Bank is this very beautiful program, a campaign by Kingdom Bank that's telling you if you're an individual, a business, or an organization and you're looking to save or invest your funds for great returns, they are saying you can actually earn up to 10% interest from as little as 50,000 shillings on the fixed or all the other deposits for periods of 3, 6, and 12 months. Visit any of the Kingdom Bank branches countrywide. 0709 881300 is the number you can call them, and they'll give you more information about their fixed savings and junior savings accounts. Songa mbele na Kingdom Bank. Terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Bank, regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. Let's continue talking about children, adolescents, and young people. And now going back into them acquiring knowledge and how they get their knowledge. Libraries are a big thing. In all schools, there's always, a collection of books somewhere. It's either in the class, at the back of the classroom, or in some institutions, they have a proper, fully fledged, well-stocked library, and it's written library at the door, and you can enter, and all the rules of the library are observed. Be quiet, there's a place to sit, study, borrow a book, return it to the shelf, and all this and the other. Or if you went to primary school like I did, you had a book somewhere. And that was called library in its whatever form. In some cases, it was, it's actually, a library is in the staff room, or in some of those cases, the library is in the headmaster or headmistress's office. Now, there's an organization that has been working at improving this situation and making sure that schools across the country have proper functioning libraries with more books stocked there, and children are then able to access this to increase their knowledge. This organization is called Knowledge Empowering Youth, KEY. And the head librarian is our next guest, Nyakundi James Nyambane. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
The hot seat of the Situation Room. You look like, just a very nice person, like a librarian. Approachable.
And there are people who don't look nice.
No, you don't look like you can be a librarian. Wow. Oh, not too strict. That's why they gave you the job of headmaster.
Hey, wow.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at the way he's smiling. He encourages you to take a book.
When I don't smile.
The way you smile. Nyambane, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Let's see Mwalimu Siti. Welcome with the day's proverb from his book of Proverbs.
Yes, our Proverbs for this week have been from the country of Burkina Faso. This is our last day. Okay? Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor. Nyambane, do you understand this proverb? What's your interpretation of it?
Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Yes.
So I'll interpret it as every new situation, let's say every new situation that happens, probably it's a reoccurrence of something that has happened before. So it probably could not be really, really new, but it could be something that has already existed before. So, yeah, that's how I could interpret that.
There is a book in the Bible where the person we're told is the writer said, there is nothing new under the sun.
Correct.
If you see it happening, it has happened before.
It's happened before.
Yeah, you just weren't there, but it has happened before.
Correct.
So those who perhaps lived longer will be able to tell you, it happened here, it happened. But then you don't need to have lived long. Now we have something called history, which is actually written. Now we have history that beyond writing is actually archived somewhere. So you can just refer to it and you will know what happened before. So, yes, spot on.
So it's all about that. It's looking at a situation and knowing that this situation may not necessarily be new. It could be new to you.
Yes.
But it's been there before.
It's not new. In fact, there are those who are even bold enough to say that when something happens to mankind, there's nothing new. It doesn't matter what you say, it isn't new. It may present itself differently and in a different time, but the essence of it, exactly the same.
Same. It's been there before.
Yes.
So Nyambane, as a librarian, first of all, who's a librarian?
A librarian is a trained information professional that handles information that is there to help people access information. So being a librarian is a role that you take to help people access information. That's the sole role of a librarian. You're there to provide information to people and manage information correctly. So you evaluate information that is available and see that it's meeting our users' needs. Different users have different needs. So the work of a librarian is to meet the users' needs.
In the context of a school,
correct,
or a library, who's a librarian?
In the context of a school, a librarian is a person who manages day-to-day operations of a library, oversees the collection that is available within that library, does shelving, manages teachers, manages the community that uses the library, and tries to bring together different stakeholders that support that particular library. So day-to-day activities could range from shelving, providing training to users, talking to different people, stakeholders, talking to the administration, talking to people who parents and teachers and even staff, because library within schools is meant to be used by all people, not just students. It can be used by staff, it can be used by teachers, and it's there to support teaching and learning of that particular institution.
Are they also in charge of looking and making sure that whatever is in the library is appropriate for the intended users of the information there?
Yeah. The role of a librarian actually is also to evaluate the content, understand your content, know what you have, know your users as well, so that whatever you have you can be able to recommend to particular users to be able to use specific content. So you need to know and understand your collection as a good librarian, that this is what I have in my collection, and this particular information will fit to this particular either age group or particular class or a particular group of users. Yeah.
You know, I've always found books fascinating from the time I was a child. But the thing I've never understood, even now that I'm a grown-up, is how exactly are librarians trained? What are you trained in? Because I'm a teacher, I was trained how to teach. So, as a librarian...
Library science or something like
that. Yes. What is it? Just walk us through. I mean, fundamentally, in a statement or two.
Information science.
Yes, we're trained to do this and this and this and this and this and this.
Correct. That's a common question that we normally get as librarians. People ask us, do you go to university for 4 years to study being a librarian?
Not study, count books.
Count books.
And shelve them.
And shelve them.
Many people actually assume that librarians, their role is just to pick books from the shelf and take them back to the tables, back to the shelves and back again. Yeah. But the role of a librarian, actually, the training that we get in a library ranges actually from studying the user behavior. User behavior is a course that we take to analyze who wants what at what particular time. When it's nearing exam, different people have different needs. If it's nearing exam, students want particularly revision papers, for example. So you need to understand what is the user behavior currently, and then how can we meet this user behavior. Secondly, there are areas that we get trained on, classifying and cataloging. That's technical processing of books. So we need to classify these different universe of knowledge into specific facets so that it can be easily retrieved. We have thousands and thousands of books within libraries that are huge. So you need to have those particular skills that can help you catalog, classify, and analyze these resources and know that these particular resources are supposed to be kept in particular areas. We also do management of libraries. That is, how can we manage the libraries? What do we need to have a functional library? And also in other areas, what we train on is community engagement. How do we bring other people into supporting our libraries here and there? It's quite huge area, and it's actually...
I was waiting for you to tell us how you get people interested in utilizing the resources in a library. Yes, because... if the library exists and the view people have of it is narrow and limited, then they will not take advantage of it, neither will they benefit from what the library actually entails or represents. So at some point, and I'm now borrowing heavily from the commercial sector, they get people to be interested in what they have because they tell you about it repeatedly until whether you have a choice or not, you will know. Whether you take it up is a different matter, but you will know. Is there somewhere along the line where people get to know about libraries, where they exist, what they can do for you? Because within libraries, there's knowledge. And the acquisition of knowledge is what moves the world. So it's difficult to get anything more important than that. So are you trained in one way or the other to get people to understand and know the benefits of this particular field that you work in?
Yes, we are trained in marketing of information products, different information products that are available in a library, and services that we have. We do the training that we package the products that we have to the communities out there. You might not really have heard so much about these advocacy programs that are being run by different institutions, but the programs are there. And if you visit some of these libraries, you can be able to meet people marketing information products, telling you that we have this program in our library. We welcome you to participate in this particular event. We welcome your support. Come talk to us. Come talk to our kids. Come inspire this generation. And those products and services do get marketed by librarians.
I see. Now introduce us to your organization, the Key Knowledge Empowering Youth. What is it and what do you do?
Knowledge Empowering Youth is registered trust that supports school libraries. We have different school libraries in different parts of the country, and a school in Tanzania and Ghana. So what we do is we realize that school libraries in most cases neglected, and where they exist, it's not just a school library, it's just a corner that you mentioned there with so many books and under lock and key. And you see, when books and other information resources are under lock and key, that means there's no usage. So key, what it does is we renovate school libraries where they do not exist, and they have a school. If a school has a structure, we do the renovation of that. That's a model that we've adopted. 2, we've done new builds of new school libraries. And thirdly, our model adopts container libraries that are really done nicely for users to use them as libraries.
How many libraries then do you have?
We have 46 libraries. And the libraries are across different counties, in 12 counties in Kenya. And we have one in Ghana and one in Tanzania as well.
What are the basics of a functional library?
The basics of a functional library is, one, a library that has usage. A library that people or kids or the users can go and sit, access information.
So they need to be able to sit.
They need to be able to sit.
That means
and
desks and chairs.
Desks and chairs, and access information. Although it's an idea that is being challenged by different people, because you don't really have to go and sit. You can be able to access a library virtually. But a functional library, you have to have a space where people can come, sit, and have discussions. Secondly, a functional library is a library that has incorporated technology. With digital revolution in this era, libraries are going way far in adopting technology issues. Without technology now, we might not be able to serve the current generation. Thirdly, a library, a functional library is a library that talks about its program to the community, to the teachers and their users within a school. So those are some of the basic library functions of actually aspects of our functional library.
Who should determine what kind of resources are in a library? Because we think of different things. There are books that you read for leisure, there are books that you read for information and research, there's referencing material across board. Who determines? Is it the school that determines then? Because usually they're in an academic institution at whatever level. So who decides? The school, or is there collaboration between library resources and the school? How does this exactly work?
Okay. In terms of resources, it's always good to consider who will be the users, because it's the users that determine the type of information resources that you can acquire in a library. So when you're doing collection development as a librarian, you incorporate the users because they'll be the consumers of information that you bring in. Involve the teachers, involve parents and community, where it's a community if it's a community library. So they determine, actually, it's not a one factor, but at least not one person who can say that these are the resources. It's always good to consider the users and also your professional opinion as a librarian as well, and even the school administration, because different schools also have different policies on different aspects. So those are some of the factors that you will consider.
So what are the basics then that should be? That if you say that you have a proper functioning library at any academic institution, what are the basics that you must then be able to walk into? Whether your library is a 4-story building or it is one room with shelves of books, what are the basics that you ought to have?
The basics that you ought to have in every library, one, we want to look at the resources. A good library should have current information resources. We need to have a qualified professional managing the library. That's a librarian. And now that's also another factor that you need to consider. Without a professional librarian, someone who can be able to tell what resources are available and what content is available in those resources, then you are missing that factor. Thirdly, you need to find spaces that are conducive for the learners, spaces that are well managed, well arranged, so that they can meet the users' needs, because different people have different needs. If users are not comfortable in the spaces that are provided, probably they not be able to use those spaces. Yeah.
So when you have such kind of a library, let's say it's a school library, okay? Books are coming from various sources. There will be well-wishers who come and say, I have some books and I'd like to donate. There will be, of course, the Ministry of Education itself, which has sent some books, which then you determine, let these ones sit in the library so all students can have access to these books, textbooks. Others will be donating encyclopedias and all. At what point then do you categorize them and determine that this one's, especially age appropriateness in terms of the content that's available there? How do you, is it only your decision, or do you also involve other people in determining this book, our grade 3s can read this book?
It is through collaboration with the teachers. You can always consult the teachers who use those books or those who teach those specific classes. Again, you can make those decisions depending on your previous experience. If you've had such particular books come and they've been used by a particular grade, and then you can be able to recommend these particular books, it will be fit for this particular grade. Again, for a librarian, you need to understand the curriculum that you're operating in, because different institutions have different systems. There's 844, there's the international curriculum. So you will be able to evaluate every resource or gift that you receive. Evaluate them, see if they are relevant, if they support the school vision and mission, then that's when you can be able to add them to your collection.
But there's something that has been said in this country. Kenyans have lost the reading culture. Kenyans don't read. Kenyans are reading books. From your experience in the schools that you've visited, the schools that you've supported in equipping and revamping their libraries, is this true?
That's not true. Kenyans read. But the reading culture, the aspect of reading is not in many Kenyans. But the few that have adopted the reading culture, they do read, yes.
So it's very few.
There are few actually who have really adopted. But now that's what we are doing as a key. We're trying to introduce early reading programs for kids, so that when a child learns how to read while they are still young, they'll be able to adopt the lifelong reading culture. So even if they finish high school or they finish their primary school to high school, then they've already adopted this habit of reading. When you introduce to book at an older age, it's really hard to adopt some of this.
So how to teach an old trick to new dogs.
Exactly.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
So there's a challenge that you have encountered as you go to the communities in terms of, the children, for various reasons, it could be, and you'll tell us what the reasons are. It could be, because they're books and the books are under lock and key, so they don't have access to reading them and all those things. Children have not had that basic culture of just wanting to read unless they're referring to the textbook because they've been told to do exercise 1 to 10 on page 55, right? How do you encourage them to actually now start reading? Can't just be yet because now books are available, the children are automatically going to start reading.
Lack of interest in reading comes from different reasons. Probably the content that is available in that particular library could not be relevant to the kids. And you realize that if the content is not relevant, and then kids will not be interested, or nobody will be interested to read. So that's why we really maintain on having a relevant content in any particular library. And another aspect that we can look at is as librarians reaching out to these particular students, or communities that we serve. We provide these trainings that you come to the library, you say, these are particular resources I want, and then we can be able to take you through. This is how you can be able to access our catalogs. This is how you can be able to access our e-resources. This is how you can be able to access the digital content that we have in the libraries. So we conduct those trainings as librarians so that people who didn't know how to access particular information can be able to access that particular information.
How about, because I still think, because what Eric talks about library being under lock and key, are libraries and library resourcing individuals or communities not in a position to remove this thing that being in the library or reading is a privilege or a luxury, as opposed to something that should be part of everyday learning? And I think with that, what you do is then you remove all of this thing like, okay, you're going to read a book once a week. You get to come to the library once a week as a class. No.
It's library day.
It's library day. Today is reading day. I think that's one of the things that ought to be removed. And I think it should be encouraged from those who understand what a powerful resource reading is, because there's so many things that it allows you to then be able to do. Children have been known to be able to spell significantly better because they're reading regularly. Children learn subject material better than a person who is teaching them because they've been able to read. But we make it seem like it's a field trip. Today we get to go to the library. I mean, couldn't that be something that could be encouraged from library resourcing to schools for them to understand? Because teachers are teaching what they know, and they also know this culture of, well, okay, we get to read on a particular day. How can that be debunked?
Let's say, using Key as an example, what we do is we're trying to make these spaces more attractive. We're trying to equip these libraries with resources that are really interesting, child-friendly, picture book, graphic novels, those resources that are for early readers. And we provide also games and toys for those young kids to come and use within the library. See, these are some of the items that really interest kids. In some of the libraries, actually, kids even prefer to come to schools even on Sunday when the library is closed, because they want to come and use the library. Apart from playing the games and toys and actually using the picture books and the spaces that we provide, we have computers that we give these libraries, and there are computer activities that they can do in these libraries. So in the computers, when they are using these computers, they are doing these activities with the computers. They are developing their interest in different aspects, actually. They're developing their interest in coding, they're developing their interest in computers and even programming, basic programming. So there are different aspects depending on how the library is structured. Then that actually determines the interest that the users are going to have in that particular library.
Let's take a break at 28 minutes to 9. Our guest this morning is Nyakundi James Nyambane. He's a head librarian at an organization called Knowledge Empowering Youth that has been working at resourcing and helping to equip libraries across the country, currently working in some 12 counties. They've done some 46 libraries and helping, schools just get libraries that are functional and working and supporting them. A comment here from Barak Muluka. He understands things about books, having been a publisher himself and very many other things, an editor. Libraries have elitist and frightful ambience. They need demystifying, and librarians do a little to help. They must promote libraries through mobile services and reading tents. When you come back, you'll tackle that. And also you'll tell us, these schools that you've been working in and across the country, do we have librarians actually working in libraries, in schools, employed by the Teacher Service Commission as librarian? Or do we have English teachers, math teachers, career and guidance and counseling people are the ones who are manning libraries? And does this help? Does this work? 26 minutes to 9. Time for that break. Nyambane, you know Showmax, right? Showmax, where you watch all this content, including live TV and all. Yes. There's something that you can watch over this weekend. I know you're busy this weekend, but you can also still watch. Tell him.
It's called it's not even it's Second Family. So, guy, wealthy businessman, unfortunately, dies. And then guess what happens? He has wife and children. Then out of somewhere else comes somebody else and says, we also are in this together. So Kenya's first telenovela talks about the intrigues from all of this, people fighting now for wealth, position, etc., etc. Second Family premiered on Showmax earlier this month, and you can get onto showmax.com and see and watch the intrigues of Second Family of Leo Langat.
Keep it here. The conversation continues shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalimia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning at 16. Highs of 25. We'll see highs of 25 as well. In a sunny Nakuru at 16, and at 17 it's sunny in Nyeri, highs of 27 and lows of 17 today. We'll see lows of 14 in a partly sunny Eldoret, going to highs of 26. At 25, Mombasa is sunny. It's also sunny at 26 in Malindi. Mostly cloudy conditions at 20 in Kisumu. Highs of 28 is what we'll see in Kakamega. In Kampala, rain showers continue. Highs of 27 and lows of 20, and highs of 30 and lows of 24 in a cloudy Dar es Salaam. At 10 degrees, Johannesburg is mostly clear. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 10, and partly cloudy conditions at 28 in Lagos with highs of 32. 30 will be the high in mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 23.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so traffic has not caused any problems for us this morning. In and out of the city, not too much of an issue whatsoever. Traffic, nothing. But you can still talk to us, be happy. Tell us how the roads are looking great. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
8 minutes to 9. The conversation continues with Nyakundi James Nyambane, head librarian at Knowledge Empowering Youth. We are talking about the importance of having properly functional libraries in schools and what kind of impact that has on learners. Nyambane, are there people who are hired by the Teacher Service Commission as librarians, who have studied and qualified as librarians, hired and then posted to schools to work as that?
There's a conversation about that, but as it is now, the Teacher Service Commission has not hired librarians to any of the public schools that I know.
So who mans libraries?
Libraries are managed by librarians, but they are not posted by Teachers Service Commission. There's libraries that I know are normally they are managed by librarians, but then the librarians are employed by the boards in different parts of the country. They are not hired by the Teacher Service Commission.
Yambani, I know schools where the person who is manning the library is a dorm matron.
Yeah.
As in, it's since you don't have anything else to do, come and just
matron, la librarian,
my librarian, and then caterers. I mean, it sounds like something that just lumped with other things to do,
support
because
services.
Exactly, and the importance of it is not,
and then it's supported by students.
And then you're also told, well, while you're at it, you have books at home, donate to the school library. I mean, this is the reality.
That's the reality. True. You're saying the truth. there are instances where school libraries are managed by matrons and different people actually assigned by the school. But there are also instances where the schools are trying to allocate the English teachers to manage the libraries. Probably they are not really trained librarians, but when they come to these libraries, those who show interest, they get trained so that they can know basics of managing libraries. The challenge that happens is you realize that these teachers sometimes, they are still teaching and their workload is still high in the classes that they're managing. So you realize that the time that they'll offer to manage these libraries is very minimal. That ends up the library being closed because
the teacher is in class.
The teacher is in class. They are chasing their content. They want to finish the syllabus. So it's true. There is a challenge in the school libraries. And management, there are no policies actually that are specifically how school libraries should be managed by the ministry. That ends up giving the head teachers an opportunity to choose who to put in these libraries.
Is there anything in the Basic Education Act or in anything that talks about our education, our curriculum, the KICD Act or anything that actually mentions libraries in schools? Are libraries recognized by the Ministry of Education as part and parcel of learning?
Yes, they are recognized, but again, previously they have been given a very little mention on the role that they do play in teaching, in supporting teaching and learning. And now, the commission that was doing education review, the CBC review, we submitted our proposal on the need to have functional school libraries, and we hope that on the proposal that we did, they'll be able to adopt that and ensure that libraries have functional, they have resources, they have people who are trained managing these libraries. But as it is, there are not really clear guidelines on who should manage these libraries and how they should be managed, particularly in who to manage them and what resources they're supposed to be there and how to.
So it starts from the top, basically, as I'm hearing this. Even in the phase out of 844, with 844 itself, there was no proper place for library in the education. Now, even as we transition to CBC, we are still talking about libraries as, by the way, we can talk about everything else. We talk about workshops, have a functioning workshop, have functioning labs. We do not talk about functioning library. It's not there at all. What do we need to see at that level, at policy level, so that libraries are then getting the proper recognition that they ought to get?
Key, actually, Knowledge Empowering Youth has did a proposal to develop a school library policy, and it's actually the first in the country that was ever developed, and it's being currently adopted by the Ministry of Education to try to manage. But then it's not really, it has not been, it's not an act, so there's not much about it in terms of implementations. But there is progress, what I can say, because now we've given proposals, and currently there is a bill that is likely to be discussed in Parliament to discuss about how libraries should be adopted in every school. Like every school have a librarian, and then the person managing that particular library be a qualified person that has been accredited to be a librarian.
Who accredits librarians?
Currently, because there are no policies, there are no particular policies that we can say that is the body that accredits. But then there is the Kenya Library Association that is working on that as well.
So the Kenya Library Association is an association of people who are trained as librarians.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But then there are people who are trained as librarians. And the Kenya National Qualification Authority recognizes certification for librarians. But there is no licensing for librarians.
Currently, no.
Okay.
We currently do not have a licensing body for librarians.
So, because what we're saying is that here is a classification that actually is fundamental to literacy levels in the country. Because we're saying that if you read, you learn. We're saying that literacy is not just about reading and writing, but it's also comprehension, right? And then one of the fundamental elements in being able to get students, at whatever level, by the way, we're not just talking about children, we're even talking about the university level, right? Because then you're talking about referencing material and things like that. Maybe your established universities will have proper libraries with proper classification and referencing and things like that. But essentially, we are saying that this element, which is fundamental to the literacy achievement of students in the country, is not even licensed, number one. Number two, it's lumped up with everything else. We're not really even sure about how it goes about. Books in schools, there's no referencing material. Every year, new books are sent to schools. We don't even know if they keep the old ones for referencing or they're put at some run-of-the-mill shop. And then we are surprised later on when we get reports about literacy levels in the country having, gone to the dogs. Shouldn't 1 + 1 equal the other?
There is a challenge in actually what we can say currently. There is a challenge, but again there is hope because different organizations now have come together and the bill is now in the process. It's almost heading to validation process so that the proposal that different professionals have made, they can be adopted. So soon, once this bill becomes an act, then now from there, different agencies will be able to come together and see how best they can structure different aspects in this that are not really clear in terms of the accreditation, certification, and even the professional development points for professional development activities. So these are some of the things that are really in the process currently. Yeah.
Currently, there's the Kenya National Library Service, right?
Yeah.
This is a state corporation,
correct,
established under law. A law that was written in 1965.
Oh, voila.
This state corporation is under which ministry?
State corporation is under the Ministry of, it used to be under the Ministry of Sports and Culture and Heritage.
Right.
Yeah.
It's now under the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife, and Culture.
Nice.
Okay.
Why didn't they just put it under industrialization?
They need it.
So see the thinking.
You see the same way it's given to the matron.
The Kenya National Library Services
Yeah.
is under culture, the State Department for Culture and Heritage. Okay? So it's not an education function.
It's not an everyday thing.
Even in the thinking of government at the national level, it's not an education function. It's a culture and heritage function. It's a place where we shall be putting things. Yeah, like the things we say, if you want to hide something, put it in the library. That's a place you go and discover culture, heritage,
history.
Kenya National Library Services. Tells you the thinking. This thing should be under.
Eric, it's actually far worse than that because every time one talks of a library, one talks of books. One is essentially referring to exams.
Yes.
The whole idea of reading for the pleasure of it, for the pleasure of interacting, not acquiring necessarily, just even interacting with knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It isn't emphasized. Now, if you want to see where it actually manifests itself in the worst possible way, is in our universities. We had Professor Yossi here, okay?
Yes.
What is evident from the discussion we're having with him is how research is fundamental in the institutions of higher learning in places he has worked. Research.
Yeah.
In this country, it doesn't take second, third, fourth. It probably takes 10th place. People read to pass exams and then their life goes on. Research is this research thing that a few people bother
or
with.
Paper, maybe.
Or even when you come to research organizations, there they take research a little seriously. But the ethos of research would be best manifested if the people who work in those institutions are awash with the grants, meaning they are always writing and there's always research. You see activity, but not as much as you'd like to. Now, if you look at countries where learning is taken seriously and is manifested at the level of research that is there, you'll find universities are maintained by those very things. Some of the best known universities, the things that stand out is the grants that they can attract and the institutes within the university that are built with these grants. You know why? Learning is given the proper place. Here, it isn't. So if it isn't, a library will be disregarded and discarded. It's one of those things that, it's good to have it there. It's like somebody in their house having a shelf full of books and you ask them, how many of these books have you read? And they look at you. The books are part of the furniture. Now, the question I want to ask. Here you're talking about a library, and we're actually talking about the written word in books. How does that compete with the world of the internet? Where some learning takes place. In fact, I would argue a lot of learning takes place. How does it compete? Or how does it contribute? Or how does it work in tandem with it?
They complement actually one another because yes, the world of internet has changed the way people view and access information. And the current generation actually prefers some online content, and because they can easily do it from their phones, they can access it from their phone, they can access it from their laptops. But again, we really can't do away with the print books, because again, we always keep referring to print that is available. And this is not something that we can say that is likely to take over books fully, because there is internet, because we have different challenges again using the internet things. There is no access to internet in all places. Again, the internet that is available is really slow in some places. Again, devices that we use, some of them are not really up to speed, so you might really take long time searching for information online, and comparing to if you are in the library and you got the correct books, and then it will be easier for you to refer when you have them physically. So I think they are working hand in hand. They're not really leaving one another. Yes.
Are you able to tell us the impact of having a functioning library is, from your own experience, from this project that you've worked on? Okay, take us to a school. Show us the before and after.
Okay. Let's say we've gone to a school before the library. You realize that kids don't know how basic numeracy, basic literacy levels are really down. And now when you have the library, you realize that now kids develop these basic numeracy and basic literacy levels. And even computer literacy actually rises with the availability of a library. The kids are able to communicate, developing collaboration skills in these spaces that we provide, comparing when there were no any library before. So you realize that there is a gradual development of users within these libraries. When a student is not exposed to a library at a younger age, and then maybe they're exposed to a later age, it becomes really difficult for them to adopt some of these tricks. But when they really adopt it from the younger age, you realize that even their computer skills really go higher, and even their interest in specific aspects, because they've been exposed to reading. Been exposed to different books, even career books that we give them. So they're able to learn and know that if I take this particular career, I'll be able to excel later on in life. Some of them actually, they have adopted, let's say, some there are competitions that they participate in. These are computer-based competitions. We have robotics competitions that some of them are participating in, like a library in Shela. So these are some of the skills that help these kids learn basic skills, basic literacy skills.
Tell us about that particular one, that library in Shela. Where is it and what are they doing?
Shela is in Lamu County.
It's an island.
It's an island, yes. It's an island within Lamu County. Shela, Shela has a population of not so many people. It's a small island. We have a library. We have two libraries actually in Shela. One is Shela Primary School, and the other one is Bright Girls. And Bright Girls Secondary School is just near Shela.
It's within the island.
It's within the island. The island, yeah. So there is a project there. There is a robotics program that we started there as key, and then it has picked really well. The kids are really enjoying now the library, because they go there to learn basic coding and how they're putting together those robotics, those pieces of robotics pieces and stuff. The library also provides a platform for them to be trained on computer activities, because they are computers. They are learning the projecting using the smart boards that is available in the library, their books, and other resources. There are games and toys as well within the library. So through the games and toys that they play, they are learning to collaborate, they're learning to communicate with one another.
Is there electricity in Shela?
Yes, there is electricity in Shela. The Manda part is the one that doesn't have electricity. But
where do they get the electricity from?
In Shella?
You said it's an island.
It is an island.
Yes. So there's water between them and the mainland.
Yes.
Just asking. Look, it could be solar.
Stima yaletwa na boti bana kila asubuhi.
But there is actually electricity.
They're connected to the grid.
Yes. Actually, it's KPLC, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a power station in Shella?
There is. Actually, we left there last week and we got some Kenya Power people connecting some lines in Manda now. So probably it's also heading to Manda.
Okay.
Yes.
They can pull power
along
under
the sea,
and take it there as well. Nyambane, how do you measure impact? Like before we went to this community, these were the literacy levels, maybe based on the performance, the mean score in this particular school. And after we've been there for X number of years, we've seen that change. How do you measure that? How are you able to tell that, our libraries are actually having an impact?
We do continuous monitoring and evaluation exercises that we go and evaluate. Before we set up the project, we evaluate the current state of the area and the users. And then now we keep on doing every annual monitoring and evaluation exercises, and then we do reports, and then now we can be able to assess and compare before there was this library, and then after there has been these developments here and there. Again, we also get feedbacks, continuous feedbacks from the teacher librarians, the school administration, and even the community leadership, because when we are setting those libraries, we do work with community leaderships as well. Yeah, so we are able to tell that there has been an impact from the stories that we get and from the feedback that we receive from these particular institutions.
So to anybody who's listening now to this conversation, we've heard everything. It's important to have a library, okay. It's important to have a trained person who is managing the library for various reasons. It's important to support your local community to have a library. It's important to have a national policy on libraries. All those things. What is the one strong message that you'd like to send with regards to having functional libraries at community level, at the local school?
One message I could say is let's support school libraries. Let's go back to the schools that we were. Let's see what we can do to support the libraries that are there, because you realize that some of the challenges that these libraries are facing are not really huge challenges. Some of them are minor challenges that me and you can be able to solve at particular institutions. So we go back again and see what can we do in these schools. If every one person at goes back to their school, try to see what can we do in terms of supporting libraries. You will have gone a long way in improving the lives and reading skills of that particular population. Yeah.
Okay. There's a comment coming in from Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, Elizabeth Nyakiago, head of libraries at Precious Blood Ruta. We've really benefited from Key. They have donated books, laptops, smart boards, projector, tables, seats, etc. Our library is managed by the girls. Each class has 2 librarians. It's usually open by 7 a.m. and closed at 9 p.m. What does that mean, that the library is managed by girls and each has 2 librarians? So it's like a library prefect.
So Key has developed a concept whereby we want to involve the students that we serve. So there is the idea of having a library council in every institution, because if you're serving these people without involving them, they are likely to be to back off and feel like the library is just there. So for the case of Precious Blood, the library is managed by students, and they're managing it really well. They're able to open it on time, close it on time, and also gather data that helps us to assess and see the usage of the library. So yeah.
So what happens when they're in class? They've opened the library at 7 a.m. Of course, they're going to class. They're students.
So they have a schedule on how and what time someone should be there. Okay. And they're actually from different classes. So every class has a representative, as Elizabeth has said. So there is no any given time that there is a gap, actually. It's open throughout the day. Even during breaks here and there, they are able to plan themselves well. And you realize that it's actually able to serve them.
Okay.
And actually, they understand each other better, so it's easier for them to even borrow books. There is no that long processes, because it's your fellow colleagues serving you, it's your fellow students serving you, so it's easier between one another.
Thank you very much, Nyambane. Librarians do, as an association, do you ever meet to discuss what it is that we need to do? Tuongezewe mshahara. Your Excellency, sasa hapa tupewe ka allowance. Do you do that?
Yes, through the Kenya Library Association, it normally provides training for different librarians. And now, for us as Key, we are planning to have a school librarians workshop. And that will be happening actually next week here in Nairobi at Ibis Hotel. So we're planning to bring together all the teacher librarians that we work with, and the librarians, and even those who are in charge of all different libraries that we work with. So they'll be coming to Nairobi for a training next week. We're trying to expose them and learn from one another. We share experiences from one another on what are the best practices out there that we can adopt to run and manage these libraries that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the best with that.
Thank you.
Nyakundi James Nyambane is the head librarian at Knowledge Empowering Youth. Keep it here for more. It's 9 a.m.
Professor Raphael Munavu has sought an extension of its term, which was to end last month, to fine-tune the report. The committee had presented its preliminary findings on December 1st, 2022 to the President, who instructed that the existing primary schools should host the junior secondary schools, namely grade 7, grade 8 and grade 9. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha has pleaded with health workers to end the strike and allow the government to come up with solutions. Nakhumicha added that health services have been affected in the counties of Vihiga, Bomet, Kisumu and Nyamira after the workers went on strike to complain about their salaries for the month of March.
I keep saying, and I will not get tired of saying, health is devolved. Service delivery is done by the counties. We at the national level provide policies, guidelines and directives. So when it comes with a relation between an employer and employee, especially for the health workers in the counties, then their employer is the county. So what we are doing as the Ministry of Health then is to mediate and negotiate that then whatever the health workers are asking for, the governors are able to provide.
Earlier this week, KMPDU announced that a strike would begin in 6 counties due to delayed salaries. Now, a 38-year-old man was sentenced to serve 7 years imprisonment by a Kangema court after he admitted attempting to sneak with bang in the court premises. Gerald Mathu Wanjiru was accused that on March 23rd at the gate of Kangema Law Courts, he attempted to sneak in 65 rolls of bang of street value 3,250 shillings, a mobile phone and a USB cable. The accused further faced a second count of resisting arrest by police officers who were on the due execution of their duties. The fact tabled before the court by the prosecution indicated that police officers who were manning the gate spotted something protruding at the side of the accused's jacket. After requesting him to voluntarily remove what it was in his jacket, the accused ran away, but the police officers managed to get him about 100 meters from the court's gate. Now, the National Bar Owners Association has asked the national and county governments to consult widely and adhere to the principles of a free market economy as it implements an agreement reached last week for regulation of the alcoholic beverages sector. Members of the association said the agreements reached at a meeting in Nyeri last week, presided over by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, would require the two levels of government to tread carefully. Speaking in Nairobi, the association said the governments need to strike a balance between addressing a social concern and maintaining a business-friendly environment that encourages investment and job creation. And diplomatic pressure is being stepped up to end the fighting in Sudan, which has left more than 300 people dead in the last week. The regular army has been fighting a paramilitary force called the Rapid Support Forces. The UN, US and other countries have been pushing for a 3-day truce to mark the Muslim holiday of Idd-ul-Fitr. The RSF says it has agreed to a 72-hour truce on humanitarian grounds. There was no immediate comment from the army. The truce will be in place from today to coincide with the festival. This is according to the RSF. Two previous attempts at ceasefire failed to take effect. The head of the Army General Abdel-Fattah al-Burhan earlier dismissed the possibility of negotiations with the RSF. The latest hope of a temporary truce came after UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres appealed for a ceasefire to allow civilians to reach safety. And the UN has warned that between 10,000 and 20,000 people have fled Sudan amid bitter fighting there to seek safety in neighboring Chad. The UN Refugee Agency said it was greatly alarmed by the escalating violence in Sudan and said the majority of those arriving in Chad are women and children. It is not clear how the 6-day-long conflict will end. Two humanitarian ceasefires have failed, and the head of Sudan's army, who is at the heart of the conflict, says that he does not see negotiating with the rival paramilitary group as an option. And a 38-year-old man was sentenced to serve 7 years imprisonment by a Kangema court. The accused father faced a second count of resisting arrest from the police officers. And finally, UNICEF has expressed concern over the declining uptake of childhood vaccines in several countries since the COVID-19 pandemic. The latest report by the leading global organization fighting for the rights of children shows 67 million children missed vaccinations between 2019 and 2021, with vaccination coverage levels decreasing in 112 countries. This is News. I'm Dennis Asada. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Not much of a problem with traffic this morning, and a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're still seeing that most of your roads will not be too terrible getting through. In and outbound of the city this morning has not been a challenge, and it's likely to continue that way through Friday. Sawa, it looks good.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
9 dakika 9 baada ya saa 3 ama saa 3 imepita na dakika 7.
Okay.
7 dakika 7. Sorry. Now Mbarathi.
I've learned everything. You take me back.
Completely
like wait a minute. All these years I knew Tisa was 9 and Saba was 7. Then now
here I am.
He has introduced Saba Tisa.
I'm telling you.
Bana ni sawa. Kingdom Bank wants you to remember that you can actually songa mbele with them by depositing money in a fixed account, a savings account, a fixed deposit account, a savings account, junior savings account, and you will earn up to 10% interest. Put it there for 3 months, for 6 months, for 12 months, and you earn a lot of money, depending on how much you've put in. Start from 50,000 shillings and go anywhere, up to 50 billion shillings. It's not a problem. They can accommodate that kind of money if you have it, as long as you tell them where you've got the money from. Okay? Just come and say, umetoa wapi pesa? Ni ya nani? 50 billion is okay. What they want you to do is walk into any Kingdom Bank branch across the country, ask them, how do I songa mbele with Kingdom Bank? And then they walk you through that journey. Or you can call them on 0709 881300. 0709 881300. We shift our conversation to the final hour of the conversation this week. Let's talk about student leadership. And particularly today, we focus on the welfare of students with disability across the country, either from primary to secondary to tertiary institutions. And we are now joined by Haya Dennis. Haya is the chairman of the University of Nairobi Students with Disability Association and also the acting chair of the Kenya Students with Disability Association. Haya, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
That is called the hot seat of the Situation Room. Yeah? It spares nobody, not even comrades.
Okay.
Sawa bana.
I do not expect any kind of privilege, any kind of spare. Do not spare me, because I also won't spare you.
Yeah, no, we don't spare anybody. We welcome everybody warmly. We are very hospitable people. We are good people. Okay. We are honest people. We work hard. City, we welcome you with the day's proverb.
Yes.
From the country of?
Burkina Faso.
Which is?
The country of honest and upright men. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the names mean. Burkina Faso. Yes.
Amazing.
Amazing, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yes, and the president who coined that name, Thomas Sankara, unfortunately died just a couple of years, 5 years after he took power. But when one looks at what that man started and what he initiated, that man wanted change.
He wanted change.
No, he wanted change. And after that, that country has witnessed more coups than you can imagine. It's like how we have elections every 5 years. Then they have coups every so often. One coup, then
the guy who is president right now was overthrown by somebody else in a coup 10 months before him.
Yes, they even had a time when in 2022 they had a coup twice. Just 1 year. Just when you thought this coup was done, another one occurs. So the people who suffer through all this are the citizens for whom all these leaders claim they want to bring about a better life. Yes.
Yeah, that honesty and uprightness.
No, that one went down the drain.
Called to question.
Yep.
The proverb?
The proverb is this: every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Every birth is a rebirth of an ancestor. Dennis, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
Every birth
is a rebirth of an ancestor.
Of an ancestor. That there is nothing happening today that had not been imagined or had not been thought of by the people who were our ancestors or our forefathers. So meaning we are just doing a succession of what had already been there in mind. Either if it was not there physically, it was there in mind. Someone was giving it a thought. So we are just doing an implementation of what had been left halfway done.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some cultures where they say you want to be very careful how you name a child.
Sure.
Yes.
Very careful.
Okay.
Because that naming can represent what that child will be. They even argue that it will even represent the character and the personality.
Some names die just because of an ancestor.
Yes, exactly. Because they realize what this ancestor represents. This name, no.
Nobody wants to.
Let's pick another name.
Nobody wants to take up that name.
No, that name comes with issues.
Yes. Now, Haya, you are the chairman of the University of Nairobi Students with Disability Association. So it's right to assume that you're a student at the University of Nairobi.
It is not even right to assume. It is right to say that I am a student at the University of Nairobi, a bona fide student of that matter, a law student. Right.
You're studying law?
I'm studying law.
In which year are you?
I'm in 2.2.
Yeah. All right. Now, okay. Bro, comrade, here, you have to walk us through these decimals.
People are still whole numbers.
Oh, okay. I get you right. I got your back. I'm in second year. It's second semester.
Okay.
2.2.
2.2.
Because what you relate to the 2.2 is the power of an engine of a vehicle. 2.2 liters.
Yes.
So I was thinking, you guys turbocharged.
Okay.
This association, the UN Students with Disability Association.
Yes.
How old is it and what is it all about?
Its abbreviation is UNSWIDA. So it started in 2018 by the current chair for, Kenya Blind Association. It's called Samson Waweru. It was in its 4th year then, when I was in Form 2. So he started the association because there had not been the university, in one or the other, by default, had neglected or had assumed that there are students with disability in the institution and they are having obstacles that need to be looked into. So he came up with this association with his counterpart, who was then taking law, and they drafted the constitution, which was not perfect, but just as a start. Then after he left, the association died. Because they are the people who started it, and he started it in his final year.
He was in the final year after he left, the next year, basically.
So then, the association died. So when I came in first year in 2021, then we revived the association. With my watch and with Disability Liaison Office. So the association, it caters for any concern raised and discussed by students who are disabled, who are having any kind of disability within the institution. So I took the mandate to make it having a mouth in by default, and make it vibrant and make it known. And through that, we partner with the Office of Dean of Students, and that is where the Disability Liaison Office was situated. And the institution came up with what we call Disability Mainstreaming Committee. This is a committee that is it comprises staff and lecturers within the institution who, in one or the other, have a heart to ensure that there is inclusivity and equality within the institution as far as disability is concerned. So with partnership with the Dean of Students and the Disability Mainstreaming Committee, the association has a mouth, has a voice, and has an eye, as it is now. So although still we are not getting we are getting better, but not that much. But we had a strategic plan with the Mainstreaming Committee, and this strategic plan is for 5 years. So we have a goal for 5 years, and we believe that before those 5 years elapses, we shall have reached the target, and we shall have brought a big change, of course, before my departure.
How many members are in this association?
The association comprises of 200 students with disability within the university, because the University of Nairobi has 13 faculties. And these students come from all these faculties. Yes.
What's the student population in the University of Nairobi?
It's crazy. It is 69,000.
69,000. And only 200 of these students.
Those are the 200 are the one that we've recognized as it is now. But
meaning they are members.
They are members which we have not recognized, and with speculation, and we tend to believe that there are more than 1,000.
They're more than 1,000, and yet they're 69,000. So I'm going somewhere with this. See, I'm asking myself the question: is it that people who live with disabilities in this country, do they get a fair shake? Do they have the opportunities that take into account their disability, and so that having happened gives them an opportunity to actually get Yes. You know where I'm going with this.
I expected that question.
You did, eh?
And
all right, now I'm expecting an answer.
No, got a good answer.
Yes.
In the past, the University of Nairobi has not had a very vibrant, a very good programs or structured programs for students with disability. And KU has had, right? And other institutions, and most of them are private. So most of the special schools within the country, these students were being recommended, go to Kenyatta University, go to this university, because those very universities had good structure, had good plans for them. So that's why the population has not grown to the number we expect. But because of the formidable programs and structures we have incorporated and within the strategic plan, we tend to believe that the numbers will be rising, because it is now outside there that the University of Nairobi, being a world-class university, is now taking care of students with disability well and with good structures and with good planning, and ensuring that there is proper and at least a good percentage of inclusion agenda.
So, what are some of the issues that we used to see? We talk about non-inclusion. What exactly does that mean? You're on campus, you're going through the rigors of it every day. By the time we're saying that there is an agitation to make sure that the representation exists, obviously there were things that had been experienced that made it clear that there was improper representation or that there was no representation at all. So what are some of those things? What did we see? How would we tell that we needed to make sure something was done because of 1, 2, 3?
Thank you for that question. When you mention disability within an institution, the next thing that should come to your thought is accessibility. Accessibility means the infrastructural structure of that institution. How are the structures there put in a way that favors people or students with disability of whichever kind?
Yeah.
And more often than not, the people who tend to suffer are the people who are physically impaired, because they have to use wheelchairs too. So the infrastructural development within the institution has, in the past years, has not been favorable enough to ensure that the people with the wheelchairs or people who are having accessibility or mobility problems are well catered for. So the school started building ramps, coming up with escalators, coming up with hostels that are disability friendly, and referring our students to, if a student with disability is not comfortable staying within the institution, the institution partner with a real estate company called Kwetu. Kwetu, they basically centered within in building hostels for students. So Kwetu hostels, with the partnership with the university, so most of our students with disability who might in one or the other may not be comfortable with the hostels, they are referred to the Kwetu hostels, and through that, the accessibility issue has now been improved greatly. And last year December, the school, the Kwetu hostel manager and the institution, they came to school, and now they want to build structures or new hostel, modern hostel, and they want to create within the hostel there must be spaces or rooms specifically for students with disability. And I attended that meeting, and we agreed. And these hostels, there will be 3-story buildings, and each story building will be having a capacity of 200 spaces for students with disability, meaning a total of 600 spaces shall be there for students with disability. So meaning there's a good roadmap the university is taking to ensure
addressing this,
embracing accessibility. That is just one issue.
Yeah.
Now, second, it comes to assistive device. That is now when you get to, you've now been assisted, you've accessed the tuition
facility.
block. Now you are within the classroom. Now within the classroom, there is learning taking place. And now, with the learning taking place, you need to be assisted to get the assistive devices that ensure that you do not face any challenge in taking notes, in hearing the lecturer out, in seeing whatever. So the assistive devices has been a challenge, right? Because we admit students who are visually impaired, they need JAWS, they need, those the gadgets,
braille,
the brailles, braille machines. So the university have partnered with organizations. We have Kilimanjaro Brain Trust. We have other organizations. We have the National Council for Persons with Disability, in ensuring that if we admit a student who is having, who need to be assisted by whichever assistive device, that assistive device is available. So that is an issue that in the past was a challenge. But now with the track the university is taking, that those assistive devices, in future now, moving forward, they are now available. And now they
How are they available? Is the university saying that for every student that we admit who has a visual impairment, we shall make sure that we list down everything that they need and we shall provide it?
Yes.
Or are they saying, okay, so we have like 10 braille machines in this that to be used by all the students who have visual impairment?
Okay. Both your speculations are right, but one is right, is more right than the other.
Which one? Let's start with
the last one is more right. I mentioned that the university has partnered with the organization that provide these assistive devices. Now, this partnership happened early this year, and now they are yet to arrive by June. So meaning, because we are expecting first years in September, so meaning by the time first years will be arriving, these assistive devices will be available. But now, in a situation that the assistive devices are not enough, and a student need a special assistive device, then the school must now approach it individually to that student. Now, we have to understand that, okay, you have this kind of disability, you need this kind of assistive device, but it is not available within these ones that we had purchased. Now we have to deal with you individually. We have to know which exactly assistive device that you will want to use, that you want to have. So then we deal with that individually. Again, we have international friends who are already sponsoring out most of our students, and they are providing these assistive devices to the students that they sponsor. So that is also a good improvement that I'm seeing as a student leader for that category. Yeah, of course, I've also worked my lungs off to ensure that these are now the issues that are on the table. I've also partnered with the organization personally. I've approached more than 10 from August last year. I've approached, yesterday I was just at the the National Gender and Equality Commission headquarters, and I was having a conversation on how we can partner, and they have now called me for a general meeting on Tuesday, of which it will be a hot seat like this one, and they will not spare me, and I will also not spare them.
How do you categorize or classify the disabilities that you have at the UON?
Okay, when you mention disability, there are no categories, there are disciplines. So we have various disciplines for persons with disability. One is the hearing impaired. So the hearing impaired, I will talk a little about it. The school has hired interpreters, sign language interpreters, such that when a student with the hearing impaired is attending a lesson, we must have an interpreter in that class, specifically for that person.
Even if it's one student?
Even if it is one.
In a lecture hall
In a lecture hall of 300 or 1,000, we must have an interpreter.
Okay.
And if we have a function that this student with hearing impaired is attending, or we will assume that within the congregation there's a person who is having hearing impairment, we will have an interpreter. And those are improvements that the university has made. So that is one discipline. Two, we have the visually impaired students. So the visually impaired students, we encourage when a first year who is having a visual impairment arrives, we encourage them to make acquaintance with their friends. And if that become a problem, then we give that person an assistance or a guider, whom will be one doing him individual orientation of corridors within the institution and their hostels where they will be spending most of their time, and even make them more familiar with their tuition blocks, with their courses, with their portal, with everything that the university and learning the university requires. So that is to the individual who are having hearing impairment. Visual. We have a discipline of physically impairment. So the physical impairment, you will find that some are amputated like me, some are having scratches, some are having wheelchairs. So we will now see who among these people with the physical impairment are more in need in terms of assistance. So if we find that there's an individual with wheelchair, then that person will be given a guider or somebody who will be assisting them. If it become a problem that they cannot make acquaintance within themselves and identify one good Samaritan within the institution. And the good thing, when this the so-called assistant or guide becomes, when by all possibility is a student or she's a student, we will be given our hostel free of charge in the courtesy of giving assistance to so and so. And
this
that's
is the one who's the physically impaired.
Yes. Physically impaired, of course, physically impaired is assured of a hostel. And now, when the assistance is a student who also need to be accommodated, then we will give that accommodation.
Okay.
You get the point?
Okay.
And that now happened cut across to all the assistants. Yes, all the guidance. Yeah. So that is another discipline. We have the stammerers. Yeah. That is another discipline. They have to be. We advocated for what we call reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation ensures that you must understand what this individual needs. So if you identify that someone having, verbal disability, stammering, then a lecturer must be notified earlier, so that in future, if there are presentations to be made, then this person, if the presentation was to take 1 hour, then the person will be given 1 hour 45 minutes because the articulation will be taking more time. That is what we call that is just an example of a reasonable accommodation. Another reasonable accommodation comes during exams. We have to be given an extra hours because nowadays exams, most of them are online and we need to type. For example, here only have one usable hand. That will not, I will not type at the rate.
Same speed.
Yeah.
The same. And another one is that if I'm not comfortable with typing, then I'm being told you can handwrite, scan and do what? And send and submit. But we have to be given extra out. So those are among the reasonable accommodation within the institution. Yes. So that is another. We have albinism and visual impaired. They always marry each other. But that is also another category. So far so good. We have also we didn't have those
are there developmental impairments?
Sorry?
Developmental impairments that are considered?
Yes.
For example, people who
lip and this.
Yep. I'm trying to remember the name.
I'm also trying to remember the name.
The reading.
Dyslexia.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
So people who have dyslexia, dyslexia, and all kind of impairments, what kind of assistance or what kind of support should they be expecting from the institution?
No.
Or how do you actually recognize them?
So we do always have, in the institution, there's office of Dean of Assistant Dean of Students. So the Dean of Students is basically to cater for the students' welfare. So we usually encourage every orientation, every year. So we have to articulate these issues so that any other person who is having developmental issues approaches a relevant office. And once they have approached that relevant office, then action must be taken. With this, in line with what they really need. And that will be given. Yes.
Okay, let's take a break. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Haya Dennis is the chairman of the University of Nairobi Students with Disability Association, and is here telling us how his association is working to mainstream the welfare of students with disability at the University of Nairobi, how this also can be replicated across all other learning institutions. And beyond this, we'll broaden the conversation. How do students with disability actually get the support that they need from the institutions? 24 minutes to 10. Ndu, tell CT, remind CT what he should be doing.
From today in the afternoon, tomorrow, Sunday, CT, log on to showmax.com on any of your many devices. And you know what you can do? You can watch Second Family. Yeah, Leo Langat passed on. Second Family came up from,
How many episodes so far?
Many, there are 3 per week.
3 per week? 3 per week?
Since the premiere.
So you actually want me to binge watch?
That's what we're saying. You can do it.
So I put on
and
hold everything else that I do.
You won't even feel guilty.
But that's everything else that you do. Binge watching.
You won't even feel guilty. Try it and see.
Let me just ask, are you guys also going to binge watch?
Yes.
Or is this only for me?
This is mainly primarily for you.
Primarily for me.
Oh, yeah, supporting you in this role.
It's good for my health, isn't
it? Yes. We'll be playing a supporting role.
Yes.
Okay. I see.
Second Family on Showmax. Go watch it today. Go to showmax.com. If you haven't subscribed, select a package, subscribe, and watch.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cindy, I'm sorry for your loss. Rest assured, your father's will provides for both families.
Both? Wait, what do you mean both families? What's going on?
What would you do if you found out that your life was one big lie? Introducing Second Family, a new Showmax telenovela about a girl whose life is turned upside down after she learns the truth about her father's identity. Subscribe to watch on showmax.com.
Oh my God, look at the curtains. Oh, and the shoes. Wow, my dream fridge. Oh.
What is it? My friend, you don't have money. Let's go.
Yes. I know what to do. The interest on my fixed deposit has matured to Songe Mbele na Kingdom Bank.
What is it about Kingdom Bank? Everyone is surprising me about this Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank move.
Songa Mbele na Kingdom Bank. Kingdom Bank is now offering mid to long-term fixed saving with higher interest rates. Earn up to 10% interest from as little as 50,000 Kenya shillings on our fixed and call deposits. Enjoy a variety of our great services including savings and junior savings accounts for your kids. Get return on your fixed investments today at Kingdom Bank. Songa mbele na Kingdom Bank. Shop now for all you want. Talk to us on 0709 881300 for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Times are tough. Bei zinapanda, vikapu vinapungua. Sasa tutadu. Ni Naivas Kikapu Kibonge. Pick up key extra offers. Choose from a kibunda of products. Get kibigi discounts. Kwa hivyo, you can beba more of your favorite fresh foods and household products.
Kila kitu ni balance. Work life.
Mara kitu ni moja. Haiwezi anguka. Naivas saves you money.
Blood is not always thicker than water.
Start your life here. It's not enough for me. It's just not enough. You don't know what they do to girls like you. I think it's a very unfair.
Two families are at war and family ties get broken.
Sorry, who is your father?
Discover the shocking truth in Second Family.
I had another family. Another wife.
Tune in to Sugar and Spice to find out more about The Second Family, Kenya's first original telenovela, and why.
In Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 17, and we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 16 in a sunny Nakuru. It's partly sunny at 18 in Nyeri, highs of 27 and lows of 17, and we'll see lows of 14 in a cloudy Eldoret, currently at 19. It's a sunny morning in Mombasa, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in a sunny Malindi at 29. Mostly cloudy at 24 in Kisumu, highs of 29 and highs of 28 in a cloudy Kakamega at 23. 22 and mostly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 30 in Dar es Salaam, where it's cloudy at 26. 14 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 32 in a sunny Lagos at 27. At 23, Kinshasa is mostly cloudy, highs of 30. Looking into Friday afternoon, highs of 15 in a cloudy Beijing, and it's partly sunny at 5 in Paris. Light rain in London at 7, and looking into Thursday night in New York is still clear at 12. Coming into Friday, highs of 19 and lows of 12.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We have not had a traffic issue today at all, and getting out of what would be traffic hour on a Friday morning, coming closer to that tick-tock of the clock, we're all right. I don't think you see any much of it throughout the city or the country today, as folks are shirking. Right? Talk to us through the morning, just in case. Spice FM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
10. The conversation continues with Haya Dennis, the chair of the University of Nairobi Students with Disability Association, talking about mainstreaming the welfare of students with disability. City?
You know what I was thinking of? When we talk about people living with disabilities, but more specifically students who are in the university living with disabilities, we seem to take one disability at a time. My question is, do we have students who have a combination of disabilities?
Okay. Yes, we do.
And how do you manage these students? And this combination of disabilities, what are the ones which are common, if there are any, and what do we see?
Okay. We have cases of combination of disability. Like the most common is stammering and hearing impairment.
Mm-hmm.
So you find that this student, he can slightly verbalize or articulate some issues slightly. But again, he can get whatever you're saying slightly. That is how the combination works.
Mm-hmm.
So in this scenario, he is given a sometimes double treatment, because during presentation, you must be loud enough, because he can hear you, but slightly. So meaning, in this situation, it does not literally need to be signed to. You get? But you only need to be spoken to loud enough, and be given more time in his presentation. That are the more cases that we've had. And there was a case, although I heard that there was a case of someone who had a visual impairment and was on a wheelchair. So I just heard, so I did not know how that lady was being treated, but I just hope that she was having some reasonable accommodation, although I had not arrived in the institution then. But I am anticipating within my reign, if we have such a case, then that person must be at all costs be given double treatment and must be taken a keen look into throughout. And if he or she has a concern that need urgency, then we will have to. And you find that most of the students with who have physical impairment, they need frequent medical checkup. So we have a clinic within the institution that is responsible for that. Yeah, because you find there's who had a fracture within the leg, using scratches. My friend is called Maurice Owino. Maurice Owino has an issue with the backbone, but he's using and has an issue with the leg. So meaning he's using scratches. So he has a serious mobility issues. So for him, because he's a medical student, and medical students in first year and second year, you are in Chiromo.
Yes, you are.
And third year to fifth year or sixth year, you are in Kenyatta. So we had to give him accommodation, because even before you transfer officially to Kenyatta, there's some lessons while in Chiromo.
Take at Kenyatta.
So we just give him a direct room in Kenyatta. Yes, and in Kenyatta is now closer to Kenyatta Hospital. So there's that frequent checkup.
What's the support that comes from institutions? Let's say, like now, obviously you're talking about the University of Nairobi, but what is the support that comes from at an institutional level for some of these things to happen? Because here we are talking about some of these things must be policy, because then it affects how lecturers deliver lessons, isn't it? Because you talk about, speaking loudly. So should it be something that is understood by every lecturer, that it clicks off in your head that if you do then have a class where somebody who is living and operating with a disability, then you know that you must do 1, 2, 3. That's policy. There are things that must happen in terms of movement for those who have mobility issues. That's infrastructure. Again, infrastructural policy at that level then must be supported fully. Then we talk about logistics, like you talk about now. Or we know who has to shuttle between Chiromo and Kenyatta. Is it understood at that level that, look guys, it's not a thing of every time there's a new student we must now start the whole deliberation process again and say, guys,
how do we deal with this one?
Okay, help me with this one. Is there an umbrella understanding of the logistics, of the infrastructure, of the softer side of things that then is taken into consideration at that level of what needs to happen? Is there that support?
Thank you. Let me give you anonymous answer.
Anonymous? Did you say anonymous? Everybody can see you. Okay, go ahead.
Or autonomous.
Yes, autonomous is good.
Autonomous. Let me be autonomous as possible. In the university, we have disability policy. And this policy has guidelines on reasonable accommodation for these students. It addresses the support staff, it addresses the students, it addresses the student union, it addresses lecturers. So that policy is there. And again, I told you this, there are 13 faculty. Each faculty there's assistant dean of students. Assistant dean, most of the assistant dean of students' work is to ensure that the students who are having any kind of impairment are catered for. If this student has need such and such, it is the responsibility of assistant dean of students with partnership with the student leaders to notify the administration of whichever need that this student is arising. 2, within the strategic plan, the University of Nairobi is yet to come up with what we call a support center. So a support center is where all the assistive devices will be placed, and within that we will be having at least 4 vans within the institution, and we are anticipating this before September. 4 vans are any person with disability, most of students, when you are within the premises of university and you want to move to whichever premise, then this one is, you just give a call to the operator, then this one takes you whichever place you need within the University of Nairobi. You get the point? So meaning the mobility and the logistical part of it is much taken care of.
Is this written down in a policy?
It is written down in a policy.
There's a document.
In that strategic plan, we have it. It is written down. And within that policy.
So this is the thing. A strategic plan that has elements for which will guide a policy is totally different from the establishment of a policy. See, because now, once it is adopted as policy, that means it binds everybody who operates under it in how they will act. So if it's still in the plan level and has not been adopted, then you see now where you might have, a bit of a challenge here and there. Yeah.
I agree with you. This strategic plan has been adopted.
Okay.
And it has been, the copies have been distributed as to all the faculties, and even the copies of the policy. I wish I would have carried a printed one, but I just came from home, so I didn't pass by our office, today being a holiday. So we have that policy well noted and well written, and with the language that all understand. Yes. And I am the acting chair for even the students with disability from other universities. So I do not only center myself.
This is other government universities?
Yes. And, not government. Other universities.
Period.
Period.
Private and public.
Period. Yes.
So at the point of admission, does a university know the students it expects who are going to come with a disability?
Okay.
And their discipline?
Okay. To some extent, yes. Because nowadays we have COOPS, which does the placement. So you find COOPS notifies the disability liaison office that we are bringing. Okay, in the Kenyan government, there's what we call affirmative action. So affirmative action, when you are a student with disability and you are sitting for your final exams, you fill this affirmative action form. And this affirmative action, one of the privileges it gives you, it assumes that if you did not have the disability, you will have scored higher. So if, for example, you are having a discipline and you wanted to take, let's say, economics. Economics in the university, you need to have at least a B plane. Then it assumes that you can do international relations. So you do not go to colleges and start from diploma. So through this affirmative action, you get access, you get to learning institution of your choice. So through this affirmative action, once a student with disability who is sitting a final exam, and after release of the exam and the results are out, the way you fill COOPS, you fill together with the affirmative action form. And COOPS get your credentials. And when COOPS places you to that university, it notifies the assistant dean of students. And if there's a disability liaison office within that institution, the assistant dean of students notifies the officer in charge of disability liaison officer. Now, for example, in the university.
And then a committee.
Yes. Now, in the university, we have a supportive assistant, a liaison officer called Dr. Mildred Domino. She get notified that we are bringing so and so and having such and such a disability. So the institution knows, to know. So that upon admission, we even help them in the process of admission and get them the good room and good hostel and all that.
So we go back to a question that we had asked earlier. Hire Dennis as the chair of the UON Students with Disability Association, as acting chair of the umbrella body for all the students with disability in all universities. Do you know how many university students currently have a disability?
The total number within the all.
Let's start with UON. Do you know how many university students at the University of Nairobi have a disability?
Yes, I do.
How many?
I told you the one that we've recognized are 200, but we are speculating there will be more than 1,000.
Why are you speculating?
Because it is a journey that we've started.
But the university has the records.
Okay, you see what happens, my friend. The records happen. You must understand that students with disability are much in denial.
Okay, but we're talking about those that filled out the form.
Yeah, filled out the form.
Came through KUSIPS. Admitted to the University of Nairobi. Right?
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that only 200 had been recognized by KUSIPS? Or are you saying that there are more that had been recognized by KUSIPS who you don't know about?
I don't want to say that I do not know about, but that the institution has not recognized.
Okay, for you to be recognized, does it therefore mean that you must have registered as such?
Yes, you have registered.
You filled in the forms with KUSIPS, and then you've also filled that disability form.
Okay, yes, for KUSIPS to recognize.
Yes. So if someone doesn't fill that form,
then KUSIPS take you as a regular student
without disability, and yet you may have disability.
Yes, there are those many situations, a lot.
So you and the organization would not know because the list that the dean has would not have a record of this person as having disability.
Definitely.
And yet they have disabilities.
Yes. So what we do, we just go to, I just sent my people, my cabinet to the grounds because we have a representative from each faculty. Kindly, you walk around as a responsible leader. If you come across, observe through observation. If you come across a student whom appears to have a disability, please record the credentials and forward them to us.
Something I have to ask.
Does the university, does the university do the same?
The university does the same, but
because there is a whole structure you've told us about here, the liaison office, the disability mainstreaming committee, you'd expect that that's also what they're doing.
Yes.
To know for sure
whether
you had filled out the form that you want to be recognized or not.
Yes.
I know that I owe you a duty to provide you this support.
Yes.
Does it do this?
So what happens, what I've seen since I got into power, is that when KUSIPS gives those records, the school records, but now during first year's admission, we have to put a desk that registers only students who are having disability in whichever faculty that registration is happening. So every admission, we set a desk in all the faculties to register students with disability. But you find, the official period of admission is 1 week. But you find a student will be admitted 3 weeks after admission. So, and this student has a disability. So, it will be difficult that this student it will take time to recognize. And again, we have 3 categories of learning. We have module 1 day, which are the regular students who have been brought by KUSIPS under help or JAB. Then we have module 2 day. These are the self-sponsored but are taking lessons during the day. Then we have module 2 evening. These are the self-sponsored students who are taking lessons in the evening. So you find that there's a student who is module 2 evening. do not come to school at all. Only sits at home and does exam and do that, and has a disability. So it will take quite some time. Now, when you cooperate with the class type of that module, then you will get to know, kumbe, there's a classmate in module 2 evening in fourth year in second semester who has a disability. You get the point. So I think it is a journey, Mr. Eric, and I have to admit that the university sometimes slept in class, but is now being awakened by Spice FM.
Good pun there, good pun.
Yeah, and again, I didn't just mention this. We have a plan that 100% transmission, that after all the students with disability who graduates get 100% transmission to the job market. So the university is responsible for that, to look for them jobs outside.
Okay, to assist them in securing.
And that one has happened. Even myself, I've also tried to look for internship for my students who have disability.
Higher.
Yes.
You're doing a good job.
I'm grateful.
You're doing a very good job. Haya Dennis is the chairman of the University of Nairobi Students with Disability Association. He's been our guest this morning. Thank you for tuning in to the Situation Room. Enjoy your weekend. Eid Mubarak. See you on Monday. It's 10 a.m.